Welcome back to the Daytona International Speedway as we experienced some technical issues, but you did not miss much. The cars at the front have changed, but the racing, for the most part, Austin, has, I don't want to say calmed down. It's still been kind of crazy, but 3x3, 10 rows deep, that's a little hard to replicate for more than about 5 laps, and we've settled it down now to 2x2. Similarly to the LCQs, we ran 2x2 a lot in those races, and the passing, the pushing, has not really, again, it's not really settled out, but it's certainly calmed down just a little bit as these guys now realize what's at stake. Although right as I say that, Ethan Eckert takes a look to the middle with his nightmare teammate Cody Nagels.
Yeah, and we do again apologize for that technical issue. We got logged out of the home, I guess you could say, owner's channel. Again, it's not one of our individual accounts. It is a general PGR eSports account. Logged both of us out. Can't say we've seen that issue before, but glad that we got it sorted out here tonight instead of tomorrow. So nonetheless, we apologize for it, and thank you for tuning back in up front. Still 2 wide for the lead, but the 3 wide has been all over the place. And now that they're in the fuel window, Dawson, you know that if a caution comes out at this point, it's going to be all about track position the rest of the way through. I think that's why the aggression continues to ramp up even more from what it's already been. And I'm watching here the 28, Bryce Dullabon, in the middle here, trying to get something going. Joshua Watson's been peeking his nose, kind of almost playing a game of chicken. Who's going to jump up and who's just trying to act like they're going to? And it's getting the 01 car further and further to the front. But on the point, Landon Velicki on the outside for Nightmare Esports, and then Daniel Eberhardt on the inside in the 90 car.
Yeah, the 90 got a little bit too far out of line for comfort there. Oh, split further back. Cody Nagels gets split out to the wall. Trouble right around the back of the field as they start to go around. It's Villalobos again. And again, he makes the save, or does he? Oh, my goodness. I mean, that's a couple incredible saves by Julio Villalobos. I mean, he has had about the roughest night of anybody, but that car is still very much clean and in the race. And later on, if we get a caution, he's going to remember that moment and the moment earlier before our first yellow as well for saving his hopes of the PGR 500.
Well, I have some bad news.
Pit stops.
Obviously, the good news. Oh, pit stops. We'll go ahead and take a look at those first.
It's a short pit strategy. Very interesting here for these cars on lap 25. They're going to come in at the beginning of this next-gen car's fuel window and pit for their only green flag stop of the race. Garza is on pit road. Tinsley, Diedrich, White, and Bennett. That tells me Tinsley, Diedrich, Garza, and Parker White must have been communicating on this strategy. This looked very coordinated. They all 5 came down pit road. Almost some contact, though, between Garza and Parker White as they try to leave.
Well, if you have the right group of guys with you, you can go in as early as you want once you're in that fuel window and have a good shot at it. But just real quick note, going back to that last near incident, Dawson, Villalobos and Christopher McCulla, I know you mentioned the damage didn't look that bad, but he took a pretty significant hit with that right front, and I wonder if it maybe broke the suspension components a little bit. That's why that car was shooting so far to the left. We'll have to keep an eye on it, but yeah, a very tough break for Villalobos, who keeps saving the car, but unfortunately, damage may catch up to bite him here. As when will we see the next round of pit stops?
I mean, I got to imagine it would be pretty quickly, and it was. More cars on pit road. Daniel Eberhardt, Cody Nagels, Nathan Harper, Ethan Eckert, Bryce Dullaban, Dude Conrad, Landon Velicki, Evan Carlbon, Stephen Miles, all on pit road this time by. And the movement begins here at Daytona as the dual races see green flag pit stops for the first time this entire week. Now, the emphasis is on Josh McCulla and Joshua Watson and Matthew Taylor in this entire first group. Do you bring it down this time to answer? If not, you're going to lose some time. Here we go. Next group is down. Oh, but Nick Seipel, he may boot pit road, the 75. It's going to be really close here, but he makes it to the pit line. Nick Seipel, that was impressive, but he turns Josh McCulla and gets turned from behind as he tries to make his pit box.
Yeah, that's something that you can't let happen here at Daytona International Speedway. When you come to pit, you've got to be aware of where your box is and determining which lane you're going to choose to line up for checking up to make it down to pit road speed. But Joshua McCulla here gets into his box pretty clean. The call is going to be fuel only. I think that's going to be more so the call for just about everybody. Yakov Kirsanov now takes the lead here at Daytona after sneaking his way through after a last lap change of scoring. In LCQ number 1, he's got the 2 of Zach Novak behind him. And then it's the 14 of Keaton Swain, Chase Mistretta, and Hunter Hastings, all currently rounding out your top 5, and it's a long single-file train, and now they're going to make their pit stops.
Yeah, almost the final group here to come down pit road again. Kirsanov, Novak, Mistretta, Swain, Milam, Masowicz, Hastings, Jones, Emery, McCulla, May, and Wallet in this final group, other than the car of Julio Villalobos that runs by himself here off of turn number 4 in the 45. We'll look back now to who is going to lead the field off of pit road. Well, it's going to be Josh McCulla, but not for long. Here is your new lead group. Wyatt Tinsley, Landon Velicki, Caden Diedrich, Parker White, Ethan Eckert, Cody Nagels, Nathan Harper, Adam Garza, Evan Carlbon, Bryce Dullaban, Daniel Eberhardt, And it goes a little further back. Dude Conrad and Josh McCulla will tag on. But look now, this second group led by a couple of cars here. Ben White, J.R. Miller, and Brian Hennings. Austin, they are going to be at the leaders here very shortly.
Yeah, they're going to get there. And even with that, though, there's still only just over 20 cars, I believe. They're going to be lined up in the lead pack. Maybe a couple more now with the addition of Jones, Novak, and Chase Mastretta. But, I mean, overall, that's what we expected to see, Dawson, and that's exactly what we got, is that one pit stop would really thin the herd and separate the field quite a bit. And as it's done that, Julio Villalobos still out on the racetrack being scored as your leader. I got to assume he's praying for a caution right now.
And you don't really have a choice here if you're Julio Villalobos. I mean, it's an unfortunate break that he's gotten in a couple of rough-ups here tonight, scuffles, if you will, on the racetrack. But you kind of have to hope, you kind of have to, be thinking, oh, man, I hope these guys can wreck it up behind me a little bit and get me back into this race. It's a tough position to be in for Villalobos, knowing now that if you don't get that caution as he rolls down the backstretch in danger of going a lap down, if you don't get that caution, you're going to be really, really far behind the 8 ball here with very, very short distance to go. I mean, we're almost at the halfway mark here in a couple laps, and Villalobos about to go a lap down to the leaders. Wyatt Tinsley, Parker White, Landon Velicki, and Austin, similarly to LCQ number 2 that you were in.
Whoa, trouble.
Oh, yeah, Ivan Carlbon. Carlbon is involved. Morris. Oh, Ron Morris still trying to save it in the 76. And this is right as they started to single file out. We're going to rack them back up. And for Julio Villalobos, I mean, if that's not what the doctor ordered for the 45 machine, I'm not sure what is. This starts up around Evan Carlbon. And this is weird. Does Carlbon try to get in the gap? Maybe it's not there. Is it behind him? Oh, it's a checkup. It's a stack up in front of him. Dude Conrad, Josh McCulla, Evan Carlbon, Ron Morris. And, oh, man, one more car trying to stay off of it right there. I believe that was Matthew Taylor. Let's go back and take a look at the blind scroll replay. And this is a checkup. We'll look at another angle because this starts, and Austin, stop me if you've heard this before, it starts up in front. Oh, okay, so a bit of a new look. And let me know if you see what I see here, Austin. Diedrich is checking up to try to let Adam Garza in line in that prime Chevrolet. And that stacks the entire line behind him up so much that they run over each other. And Josh McCulla tries to take the real estate and ends up playing pinball with Dude Conrad and Benjamin White. And Evan Carlbon, J.R. Miller, unfortunately, the unlucky men on the scene. I mean, tell me if you think it's something else there, but it looks like Diedrich is trying to let Garza get in line. He knows that bottom line's not rolling. And as he does, it checks up the line behind him and collects Dude Conrad and several others.
That's exactly what it looks like to me. Now, granted, I do want to give him the benefit of the doubt here and go look at the onboard view before we make any final, stipulations here. But if that's the case, I mean, that's a really big no-no. You can't do that here because of incidents like this. You know that you've got a giant train of cars behind you that are running, mere feet apart. And we'll go back here and show you the onboard view. But for Diedrich, let's see here. Got to take a listen. I agree, Dawson. I think he's just blipping the throttle here to try to let Garza up. You can't do that when you're running that close. Diedrich, we mentioned earlier he's won a PGR race before, but I'm really not a fan of that right there. I think that costs a lot of good race cars a chance to advance to the first annual PGR 500 tomorrow.
See up on the left side of your screen, Garza and Diedrich. You see Diedrich back off the throttle just a little, at least it appears, to let Garza in line. And the plan works, but the problem is it stacks up the cars behind him. Harper, Eckert, Nagels, Conrad. McCulla actually goes to the middle. That's a pretty good move, but he doesn't get far enough down. Bounces off Conrad, bounces off White, and shoots Conrad up into the safer barrier. That's a tough break for Dude Conrad. Evan Carlbon gets some damage. J.R. Miller gets a piece of it. You're going to see Morris come along here as well. Matthew Taylor, I thought he was lucky. He actually does get a piece. So does Josh Watson. So does Sean Rogers. And this is as tough gets out back for some of these guys who were just riding, and we had literally just started to single file out and potentially ride for the last 25 laps of this race, or at least for the next 20 until we got to the end. And right as we did that, it sparks off behind the leaders. It's a really tough break. We're going to go on board with Diedrich because I want everybody to understand what we're trying to get at here. And Adam Garza in the 8 in front of him. You're going to see right here. So he's behind Velicki. Now watch how much distance opens up, and listen to his throttle inputs here halfway down the back straightaway. I'll tell you what, Austin, going back watching the onboard cameras, we'll go back live here in just a moment. That was more than a blip. It sounded like a roll out of the throttle for an extended period of time for the 24, and like you said, a bit of a no-no in this kind of racing when you're this close together. Unfortunately, for some of the cars towards the tail end of the field, like Evan Carlbon and Ron Morris, that is not what they wanted to see. It's an unfortunate accordion effect, an accordion we've seen all week, but we haven't yet seen a scenario like that, and I can't imagine it'll be the last time we'll see it either.
Well, I certainly hope it is, because again, whenever something like that happens, you see the result, and it can cost a lot of really good drivers an opportunity. And for Joshua McCulla, I think his night's over. He broke the left front suspension off of that race car, and with no fast repair, that will be enough damage to end his night. And I don't think it was anything egregious in the sense of, I don't think Dieterich wanted that to happen out back. I think it was just, he thought that everybody else would kind of get the memo, but it just usually doesn't quite work out that way. And I had an opportunity to go back and see it on board just a little bit before the people at home did, and as soon as I saw it, Dawson, I completely agreed with what kind of you initially saw. That's exactly what it was, and just a really, really unfortunate break. Garza going to be up front, and for Dieterich here with that incident, I think that they may have given him the EOL. Looks like they did, Dawson, so that would confirm those suspicions.
Yeah, it's such a tough break there for really everyone involved, and I see exactly what Dieterich wants to do. He wants to let up Adam Garza. They had just pit together, and he wants to give him a spot in line, and sometimes that works. Like, for example, going back to the LCQ races, sometimes that works, where we're far enough apart, and I think back to specifically your LCQ race, Last Chance Qualifier number 2, you could see car lengths between cars, a car length between the leader and second, a car length between second and third. In those scenarios, that works. This time they were running so tightly together on the outside wall, they hadn't yet had an opportunity to spread out. And when that happens and you're checking up the line, it all happens too fast. It accordions backwards, and it makes it back to guys like Carlbon, Morris, McCulla, and others. Now some updates on the cars involved. Tanner Sims, who was involved in the first crash, he's called it a night here just past halfway. Actually only ran 14 laps. Continuing to sit on pit road are Josh Watson and Dude Conrad, already a lap down. And Evan Carlbon is a lap down as well in 39th. Everybody else involved, including Villalobos, who we talked about, and Josh McCulla, back out on the racetrack and still running. Green flag back in the air. 28 laps to go in VRX Duel number 1. It's a good start for Wyatt Tinsley off towards one. He'll jump up on the bumper of the defending Coke Series champ, Parker White, and his fellow driver in the series. They'll get a nice push here into 1. Adam Garza comes with him, and Landon Velicki, I can't imagine he's feeling very great right there about that. He has to drop all the way to 5th on the outside line.
Well, he drops back to 5th, but in the process here, he's going to have another opportunity to jump down if he wants it. That's Dullabon on the inside. I don't know, but Eckert's really stacking up on the back bumper of that 28 along with Cody White. Chase Mistretta there as well. So that's 3, potentially 4 Nightmare Esports cars that are within the vicinity of each other. But as they work off of turn 4, off of the 30-plus degree banking here at Daytona, we are now well within the distance that these guys ran throughout the week in both the heats and the LCQs, Dawson. So it's kind of a different feel all of a sudden. Pit stop out of the equation. This is now all about track position. If you want to advance to the first annual PGR 500 tomorrow, you're going to have to finish in the top 20 here tonight. And as for those final transfer spots, Keaton Swain, Matthew Taylor, the last 2 right now that are inside, and the 2 that are outside looking in is Sean Rogers and Jason Wallet. Here we go, 3 wide again now as they work down the super stretch.
Yep, 3 wide further back. Eckert, Nagels, Mistretta, a couple of others started to take a look into the middle of the racetrack, trying to pick up a couple cars as they come towards the front of the field on the inside line further back. And that 3 wide, just as soon as it gets going, it disintegrates about 10 to 12 rows deep. Oh man, huge push there on the exit of turn number 4 from Tinsley to the back, or from White into the back of Tinsley. That about got the 20 all kinds of out of shape. Eckert on the bottom. Look at Tinsley. Throws a block on Eckert. They've got a huge run coming to him. Eckert, oh man, he's lucky he's got a couple of his teammates behind him, or that could have been a disaster. As Tinsley got down, that bottom line had a monster run onto the entry of turn number 1. It's a smart move by Tinsley, but man, with a run like that, you're certainly glad communication between the top 3 and the bottom, or that could have been big right here at the front of the field.
It is a smart move, but it's also a risky move considering the guy that you're making that block on. Remember, Eckert, you said at the beginning, Dawson, he's got nothing to lose. If it's the end of the race and you try to throw a bad block on that 12 car, I mean, what reason does he have to want to lift? He's going to say, that's your own fault, buddy. Doesn't matter to me. What happens? I know I'm locked in tomorrow. But again, trying to stay up front, the 20 car, he knows what's on the line. He wants that $100 to go along with it. Nice job by Tinsley. And further back, speaking of slamming the door, Cade McClenny, he just slammed the door on Jacob Emery. So we're starting to see, I don't want to say the blocking, but certainly the moves picking up here in terms of the aggression level. With just 25 laps to go, it's time to figure it out. The VRX Simulators Duels at Daytona have not disappointed so far.
Oh, man, out back, Caden Diedrich, Nick Seipel, Dylan Jones are jockeying for that middle position. One other car tried to jump up. I think it might have been Ben White. And as they jockeyed for it, they almost got together, and now they are going to get together. Trouble out back in the field, as several cars have gone around, back around that Nick Seipel territory, or have they? A caution flag is out.
Ron Morris Jr.
It's Ron Morris Jr.
That's 2 McCulla Motorsports cars that have been destroyed now in the last 2 incidents, and now their fleet of what was going to potentially be 4 drivers, enough to make up almost an entire team, is now going to drop down to 2. Ron Morris Jr. immediately paid the tow bill here, and watch as they're going into turn 3. I know you're getting back to the replay, Dawson, but just from what I saw there, kind of initially, I think it was the 44 of Matthew Taylor that got into the back of him, and that just immediately started to get Ron loose. He tries to correct, and when he overcorrected was when he went almost head on into the outside wall. That left a lot of drivers with really just nowhere to go.
Yeah, we're getting back to the replay now, and I'll tell you what, Austin, it's actually going to involve 2 of the McCulla Motorsports fleet. It's the Ron Morris machine, and it's the Chris McCulla machine as well. As Morris got turned into the outside wall, he gets T-boned by Matthew Taylor. Sean Rogers was actually the one that got in the back of him. We'll show you that again as the field worked its way down into turn number 3. So watch Sean Rogers. He's the red and black car in the middle, and Morris goes to make a move as that outside line checks up. It's a little bit late. Rogers into the back of him, and then it's on from there. You'll see Taylor T-bone the 76. You'll see Justin Branham involved. And most notably for Morris, his teammate Chris McCulla in the 04 gets involved. Man, that's a monster hit for Ron Morris. Up off the ground was the Ron Morris Race Paints number 76. You see McCulla tag into that as well. Stephen Miles drops to the apron to get by. And man, for McCulla Motorsports, disaster here in the closing stages of this one as Morris tried to get to the middle. Again, it's a good move, but it's unfortunately just a slight second late as that outside line started to check up, started to lose momentum, and Ron Morris ends up head on to the outside wall. For McCulla Motorsports, it's a tough deal for Matthew Taylor and for Justin Branham. Again, guys just riding where they're at, and they're all in a pretty good spot at this point in the race. Oh, I mean, it's got to be the toughest feeling as a driver late in this thing.
And I'm not sure if for Ron, he just split second hesitated before, because it was going to be really, really close in general on if he was clear. I mean, we talk about drivers slamming the door. This would have been one of those right here. But for Ron, it's just, I mean, he barely gets clipped. In fact, if, the 33 is not down on the bottom, or if he lets it roll, maybe even saves it. That's how slight of contact there was. But we know it's so easy to overcorrect here. And as soon as that happens, that's what shoots him up into the outside safer barrier. But for the 44, Sean Rogers, Dawson, not doing anything wrong. He certainly didn't want to turn Ron Morris Jr., but when somebody makes a move down on your nose that quickly and they're not quite clear, that's going to be the result. Tough break for Ron, and again, as you said, it's been a tough go at it here, tough sledding so far from McCulla Motorsports with 2 of their race cars out of duel number 1 here tonight, and I think that was actually 2 out of the 3 that they've got in the duel, and Christopher McCulla had got damage earlier, so it has not been a good go for him so far.
Yeah, we saw Josh McCulla earlier. We saw Chris McCulla and Ron Morris right there, and I mean, if you're Kenny McCulla, who's coming up here in duel number 2, it can't be it's got to be a very uneasy feeling for the captain from McCulla Motorsports, watching his 3 teammates in this race all experience problems, and you have yet to even hit the racetrack. Got to be a tough scenario for Kenny McCulla as he'll come up here in duel race number 2 in just a few moments. Back up front, going to be the closing third of this first duel race from Daytona. Wyatt Tinsley leads the way with Parker White in second and Adam Garza back in third. Nathan Harper is fourth with Ethan Eckert, who we mentioned a minute ago, in fifth. Cody Nagel, sixth. Chase Mastretta, seventh. Landon Velicki is eighth. Now, with Brian Hennings in ninth, that's a guy to watch here in the late stages of this duel. And Zach Novak is up from 22nd to 10th. A pair of guys in from the LCQ, Novak and Hennings. Novak, of course, a Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver, and knows his way around the next gen, knows his way around Daytona, loves the plate racing. He's up from 22nd to 10th. And for Brian Hennings, a guy that we kind of talked about has burst on the scene the last several weeks, and this week has put on a really nice show. He's in the duel, and he's up 22 spots from 31st to 9th. A couple others, Dalton Meelam up 13 from up to 11th position. Keaton Swain showing is up 27 to the 12th position. Jason Wallet up 20 to the 13th position. I mean, we're talking about a ton of LCQ drivers, Austin, that are inside transfer positions to tomorrow afternoon's PGR 500. There could be a number of guys that won heat races or that finished top 5 in heat races that may not crack the field for tomorrow afternoon's feature.
It's going to be interesting for these last 21 laps, that is for sure. By the way, just before we do get back to the green flag action, want to just give you a little bit of a tease of what to expect tomorrow. First off, looking at some of those payouts. Again, it's going to be $2,000 to the winner of the PGR 500 tomorrow, the first annual one. $1,000 to second, and the payouts just slowly go down from there all the way through the feature. So, Dawson, if you lock yourself in here tonight, you're automatically getting your money back. And at that point, I mean, it's all bets are off. You're going for it. And then the other thing I wanted to note is, of course, make sure that you tune in for the broadcast tomorrow. Ex-podium producer Christian Hill, I guess I should say former. He may still be doing work over there. But the point is, Christian Hill, producer of the Podium 500 last year, will be taking over PGR eSports. And up in the booth, Dawson, I know it'll be yourself, alongside award-winning Coke Series broadcaster Evan Pasoko. And it'll either be myself or Matthew Baker as the third man in the booth. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun one here as we wrap up the road to the PGR 500 with the VRX Simulators Duels.
Yeah, what a great privilege for me to get to call that race with Evan tomorrow afternoon. It's going to be a fun one. You will not want to miss a second of it. We've got business to attend to here, though. 21 laps to go in VRX Duel number 1. Green flag is in the air. Tinsley off and running. Garza is as well. Garza, quick move to the top. He'll bring Tinsley with him, and it leaves now a trio of cars on that inside line. Ethan Eckert, Landon Velicki, and Brian Hennings, as Cody Nagels abandoned ship as well. He'll go to the top and behind Nathan Harper and await their help from out back. Bit of a separation here between the top 8 or 9 cars and the remainder of the field as they will all get caught back up. Justin May's going to blend with the pack here on the backstretch. He'll go back to the apron. That'll be a bit of a spook there for Justin May. You look in your mirror, and here come the leaders bearing down on you, getting up to full song in turn 3. It's Wyatt Tinsley with the lead, but for how long? Here comes the pole sitter.
Definitely feel like this pack is broken up quite a bit. I think they'll get reorganized here over the course of the next couple laps. But on the bottom, Landon Velicki pushing his teammate, the Eckert to the 12 car. Again, Eckert is the pole sitter, so right now he doesn't care what happens. He's just going for $100. He'll be on the line here tonight to the winner of these number 1. The dude will be thanking that prize for the race winner. Up top, Tinsley still stands with the 8 Adam Garza. We have how long that to last is. Garza's got to have here, Dawson. They can't get any help before that point. It's outside, man. It's starting to fade.
Yeah, I mean, they've got no help out back. Back to Parker White, about 4 car lengths off the back bumper of Garza. Now Nagels thinks about it now, thinks better of it, drops back down. And behind a pair of his teammates leading the line, and also Brian Hennings. Here comes the cavalry for Garza and Tinsley. As off turn 4, we got a new leader in VRX Duel number 1. Get familiar with that. He'll be leading the field back to the green flag tomorrow afternoon. It's Ethan Eckert that leads with 19 laps to go. On the bottom now, a pair of his teammates are in that bottom line, led by that bright pink number 62 Chevrolet of Landon Velicki, who will be in the booth with me for duel number 2, but he's looking to lock himself in to the PGR 500 before that. Brian Hennings has been a great pusher this week so far. Cody Nagels, again, we've listed off his accolades in the next-gen car at Daytona over the past 365 days. That's a really nice trio and going to be a tough one to beat, but Tinsley's push up top continues to be very good.
In the middle line, trying to get going by a few different drivers. Cattell actually kind of stuck in the middle right now. I don't think he wants to be there, but he doesn't really have any other options. Eckert on the outside, he'll now fall back. Eberhardt's going to jump down and pick up Cattell. Looks like the 19 of Benjamin White will go there as well. And they just continue to shuffle up these lanes, Dawson. It almost seems like, as a driver, 1 second, you feel like you're the person in the outside line. You go down to follow the line, and then all of a sudden, you're the one that's getting split out in the middle.
Oh, almost trouble out back around Ben White. They're going to go 4 wide for a moment around Caden Diedrich. It's back towards the transfer spot as well. Oh my goodness, how'd the field avoid disaster right there? Extended 4 wide racing at Daytona back around the 20th and final transfer spot. 18 laps to go. The jockeying already getting insane back there. Big move top to bottom. Wyatt Tinsley for the race lead on Velicki. Velicki had just gotten clear to the top too. He'll go to the push of Adam Garza. Look at Eckert out back. Trying to grab the right rear of Bryce Dulaban. Not going to work. Oh, Harper into Nagels. That's almost a bad connection, and unfortunately, that Harper into Nagels mistake is going to send Brian Hennings the wrong way in the pack. He will slot back in, though, in front of the Dallas Cowboys. Mustang as Nagels throws a big block, and they're going to go around. Dulaban, Eckert, Hennings, Harper, Diedrich, the big one, strikes into turn number 1.
John Rogers nowhere to go. He clobbers. Couldn't tell if it was the 24, one of the other cars involved. Now he'll roll to a stop as multiple other cars involved in this one. Daniel Eberhardt's got some damage. We mentioned Caden Diederich. You see the 58 in there with nowhere to go. That's Justin Branham. And man, you knew it could only be so good for so long, Dawson, before things went so bad so quickly. That's a tough break right there.
Yeah, we're looking back at it here. So it kind of starts up in front, and it's a similar storyline, honestly, as we've seen all week, where multiple things happen at once. So watch up ahead. Brian Hennings and Cody Nagels. Watch as Hennings jumps down in the line. This is after Nathan Harper and Cody Nagels had an issue on the backstretch. The middle line starts to roll. Dulaban, Diedrich, and Thomas Bennett, they're in that 33 machine. They're rolling nicely here. This line is moving. They're going the right direction. They're coming to the front. Nagels jumps bottom all the way to the wall, and it's late. Nagels gets across the nose of his teammate Ethan Eckert. It checks that top line, and Diedrich just drives right up the hill, collects the left rear of Daniel Eberhardt. He gets Dulaban, who gets Eckert. It's a typical Daytona chain reaction. Diedrich goes down to the inside. Look at Brian Hennings collected. Nathan Harper collected. There's going to be other cars that come on the scene here as well. How about Milam in the 34? He gets involved as well. Justin Branham, he just got in the last one. He's in it. Sean Rogers in the last one. He's in it. Another couple cars as well. I think we have 3 44 cars on the racetrack, so I'll have to figure out which of the 3 that is right there that's coming through the wreck. That red and gold and black machine in the Ford Mustang. And we'll figure out who that is here in just a moment. I don't believe it's Matthew Taylor. It might be the Matthew Taylor machine. No, it's not. It's Martinez that actually comes through the wreck. Tough breaks all around right there, because this is, again, kind of 3 things happening at once. And I'm not really going to call it a mistake, but that's basically what happens here. I mean, Cody Nagels, we had just talked about, you know, the accolades that he has, and we had talked about, you know, Caden Diedrich a little while ago and his savvy for this race car. And both of them right there make pretty avoidable mistakes in the tri-oval that lead to a pretty decent-sized incident. Takes out guys right around the transfer position.
Tough break indeed, but it's kind of the nature of the beast, especially as you start to get to the end of these races. Guys are going to start taking bigger risks, even if after the fact they wish they wouldn't have. But now it's going to be a restart with inside 10 laps to go, and all bets are going to be off once we get back to the Geico restart zone and get things rolling. Up front, though, Landon Velicki, Dawson. We've seen this before in these next-gen cars. Landon knows how to get the job done, but he's going to have to be real careful up here because he's treading with Adam Garza and the 53 of Parker White. That is 2 very aggressive super speedway drivers, and you know both of them don't want to sit behind and just push the 62. Now, he does have some teammates relatively in the vicinity, most notably Cody Nagels, who sits about 5 spots back, but we'll have to see what happens. By the way, we appreciate you if you are watching here tonight and always giving us updates. I saw that my mic may have had an issue. I think it may have been something with the stream in general. I noticed that some of the cars were blinking out. So again, any issues that we are having here right now, we do apologize for. We're trying to get them all worked out, and we'll have things set up to be just perfect for the feature here tomorrow. But again, thank you all for sticking around with us.
Yeah, we went on an onboard there while you were speaking about that with Ben White, and that may be the onboard of the weekend so far for the 19, as he weaved his way through, never really came to a stop, and just found a couple of gaps in that wreck. I mean, again, that's probably the closest call of the weekend so far. We went to his onboard camera. He runs 12th, and now you got to kind of take a deep breath as a driver if you're Ben White. You just did all that to miss it. Oh, by the way, on the scoreboard, there's still 15 laps to go for Ben White. Now, he's in a transfer spot. He avoided the wreck. A big moment there potentially for Benjamin White, one of the super speedway aces in this field, as he runs back just outside the top 10. It will be 1 lap to go until the green flag. There will be 13 laps to go in the race here in VRX Duel number 1. It'll be Landon Velicki up front with Adam Garza. Velicki will go topside for the restart, or will he? Bit of a decision here. Looks kind of like our own version of a choose cone. They don't have one, but the leader does get his choice. And Velicki will take the top, leave Adam Garza on the bottom with Parker White. Velicki will pick up Kittel and Nagels, and one other car in line towards the back of this group. That's Zach Novak on the outside of Nathan Harper. On the bottom, it's Garza, White, Tinsley, Harper, and then Bennett further back. Milam will be the 5th car on the outside line. But a number of guys outside looking in as of right now that were up front earlier. Nick Seipel, 22nd. Chase Mastretta, 23rd. Stephen Miles, 24th. Ethan Eckert, 25th. He will not be eliminated, but still outside the top 20, which I noted. If Ethan Eckert finishes 21st or worse, we're going to lock in 1 extra car to tomorrow afternoon's race. Josh McCulla, 26th. Diedrich, 27th. J.R. Miller, 28th. Bryce Dulaban was 10th at the time of the wreck. He's 29th. Chris McCulla, 30th. How about D3? Daniel Eberhardt is 31st. I mean, a number of major contenders here, Austin, are outside looking in, and they don't really have a lot of time to get much work done anymore.
They don't have much time, but it's not going to take them much for what they've got anyway. Daniel Eberhardt, one of the many cars that's going to get really aggressive right here and trying to get back to the front. We'll see how quickly he can do so. As for the back, we still have quite a few cars with some damage, but they're going to be out here until the end because you never know what can happen. We've seen massive wrecks completely flip the field upside down on the last lap of these races before, but definitely has shown that for the guys in duel number 2, Dawson, it's a little bit of a battle of attrition here just to get to the end. I mean, we have seen some really big wrecks. We'll have to see what happens here the rest of the way, but 4 cautions in 60 laps, not too bad all things considered. Now it's time to find out who wants it the most here, who wants that $100, and who is going to be able to transfer through to the first annual PGR 500. Pace car getting ready to work in, and we are getting ready to go back under green.
Landon Velicki on the outside of row number 1. He'll be jumping in the booth here in about 15 or 20 minutes time, and we'll see what kind of mood he's in based on how these last 13 laps go. Adam Garza on the inside will restart second. It's a great jump for Landon Velicki. Green flag back in the air, 13 to go at Daytona. Velicki clear the bottom if he so chooses. He will stay home, and honestly, with 20 guys transferring in and you're running up here P1, P2, I don't mind that from Velicki. We saw Tinsley earlier make a really big move on the restart to go down and block, and instead right there, Velicki chooses the safe option, and off of 2, he will lead the outside. Garza will lead the inside. It's a triple tandem down low with Garza, White, and Tinsley, and they are flying down the super stretch.
And speaking of blocks, Nagels threw a massive block on Zach Novak, who was trying to jump to his outside through 1 and 2. Benjamin White went down the middle through the super stretch, and now Velicki going to get split out. His teammate Nagels tries to go. Landon will go to the bottom. Cody jumps back up top. And just as quickly as they looked like they were getting ready to get 3 wide, they go back to 2 wide, but the bottom has lost its momentum. Watch for that green and black James Wagner's welding machine of Cody Nagels to potentially jump down to the bottom to lead his teammate, but instead he'll get beat to the punch by the 34 car. I believe that might be Dalton trying to make something happen. How far will he go? Cattell's going to jump down. Now the inside's going to get rolling down the super stretch.
Cattell and Milam jump down in front of Landon Velicki, who was already down in front of Zach Novak, and that's a very strong 4 cars on the bottom side of this 2.5-mile oval. Back next time, it'll be 11 laps to go. Brandon Cattell rockets to the lead. The former eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver jumps bottom to top and jumps on the nose of Adam Garza in the Prime Chevrolet. Now bottom, Milam and Velicki tandem, but Novak, third in line, now has lost a little bit of ground. Look at Cade McClenny in the 05 as he comes forward again for the first time since being involved in the incident early. McClenny is back inside the transfer spots and about to break back into the top 10 and 1.
The 19 of Benjamin White going to go to the inside. We've got a couple cars here, maybe blinking just a little bit, but up front, yeah, that's the 64 actually. It looks like it's blinking around a little bit. That's going to make a couple guys nervous on this outside, Dawson. A couple of them might have to start pushing the issue as on the bottom. How about the 34 machine trying to make his way all the way to the front of the field? And after a bit of a chaotic start, Dalton Milam still on point on the bottom, but it's the top that's got the advantage. The 80 of Cattell getting pushed by Adam Garza. And right now, we're coming to just 10 laps to go. And that battle for that final transfer position is heating up.
Yeah, the battle for the transfer spot heats up, but the battle for the lead is now going to start to do so as well as Adam Garza drops to the inside. Again, having some technical issues. Apologies for that. And Milam will push him there. And Ben White is up here all of a sudden. I don't even know where the 19 came from. I looked down to do something, to call part of the other part of the race, and Ben White is 10th, and Ben White's now 4th. Look at Milam and Velicki around the outside of Garza. Dalton Milam to the lead at Daytona. That's a power move for the 34 down into 3.
And Garza, wonder if he jumped down just a little too early. Benjamin White's got some front nose damage. That won't matter though now because here come 2 more of the Coke Series drivers. Parker White, Wyatt Tinsley both going to jump down to the inside. They'll try to take the point away as the 34 is going to jump right back up top. And oh, we had one car with some damage there, Dawson. Not sure what happened, but I think everybody gets around it okay. We stay green, and they are still 3 wide back here for the final transfer position.
Yeah, 3 wide further back, and Parker White goes to the lead. And again, now it's now there's some trouble out back. And I'm not even sure if we're going to be able to see what goes on here. It's towards the back of the lead pack.
That's the 44, Sean Rogers, who it looks like had some sort of issue here. I don't know just how bad the damage is on that race car just yet. And he's going to try to get that fixed. As he does so, we'll hold off on a replay here just for a moment. As again, you might notice on the stream some of the cars blinking around. You got to remember that this is a simulator. It runs things really, I guess I should say realistic, but also at the same time, that takes a lot of performance and power out of the PCs that we run them on. And for both Dawson and myself, we are not these big promotion companies that have these massive beasts of PCs. We get the best of what we can with what we've got. And Dawson has been producing here for a couple days now, and that computer's probably taken a pretty good beating. Maybe some of the reason he's had a little bit of the issues, but he's getting things fixed up right now. And again, hopefully we'll have everything sorted out here shortly. If you're just tuning in, we appreciate you being here. Back under caution for the 5th time here tonight. And as we do so, let's see if we can go back and get a replay of this one.
Rolling back, we'll see what we can even see, but we may not be able to see a lot here, at least from what we're seeing. But it was towards the back end. Austin, if you want to take the viewers through it, as I try to figure out if we can even get a look at it. Oh, here we go. Back towards
and it all starts. I was going to say, it all starts actually kind of right around where Daniel Eberhardt was. And that's another one of the big names that if he's taken out in this, that is going to be a shock to a lot of the other drivers expecting him to advance through. He's kind of deciding on which lane he wants to go to. He's kind of hung in the middle between the inside and the outside. That's Sean Rogers up in the middle and J.R. Miller on the inside. And so Eberhardt just kind of hanging around right there. I think Eberhardt was in the middle, and then the 44 is going to kind of push him maybe down a little bit. And then at this point, I don't know if Eberhardt was thinking the 44 would maybe cut him a break and let him back up or what the deal was. But either way, there's some contact there. That gets J.R. Miller offset. J.R. checks up, but he gets a bump out back from the 28 of Dullabon, and then that gets him into the right rear of Eberhardt. Shoots Eberhardt up into Christopher McCulla, Chase Mastretta, and multiple others. And it's on from there. You see the 44 back at the racetrack. Well, Eberhardt, he's not done, Dawson. He didn't get that much damage, at least from what we can see, but certainly a tough incident. Well, I take that back. Now that I look at the front end of Daniel Eberhardt, it's pretty banged up. He may have some suspension components bent up as well. So a tough break for Eberhardt and multiple others, and now this will set us up for a restart well within probably about 5 laps to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And for Daniel Eberhardt, one of the bigger names in the field, that's a really, really tough break. I mean, a guy we fully expected to be there, a former Podium 500 winner himself, a guy who's been around for many, many, many years on super speedways. One of the, really the OGs, if you will, the first guys to do it. A really tough break for Eberhardt. What we're going to do is we're going to go take a quick commercial break under this, the 5th caution of the night. And I'm going to try to revert as many of these things as we can so we can pick up the finish without issue here on PGR Esports Network. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing. Three by three. Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. Finish. Who gets it in the line? Cody Nagels wins it in Talladega.
Have created our own drink company. The fastest growing sports drink in history.
We will run! We will run! Ladies and gentlemen, the monkey is prime!
This season, we are hydrated.
The official sports drink of the UFC. It's time!
Oh, that's good.
I played a couple of simulators and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
welcome back to Daytona International Speedway as we catch you in the middle of that advertisement. Apologies for dropping in the middle of that one, but we're about to go back green. Changed as much as we possibly can. We're going to see if we can't get you the last 5 laps of the way here in dual race number 1. Green flag back in the air. Parker White, Wyatt Tinsley on row 1. And here we go. Do the tri-oval back down towards turn 1. 5 laps to go. Just over 12 miles left, Austin, in this dual race as we get ready to go here for the final 5 laps of this one.
And out of 40 cars, 20 of them are going to know their fate here in just about 5 laps time. Actually, I take that back. All 40 are going to know their fate. And 20 of them are going to be excited. 20 of them are not going to be too pleased knowing that they won't make it. So keep an eye back around that 20th position. The final transfer spots. Brian Hennings, Dylan Jones, Steven Miles, Adolfo Delgado all battling for one more opportunity to advance into the PGR 500. Back up front, though, 3-car tandem and trying to break away a little bit. Parker White, Wyatt Tinsley, and Adam Garza. Further back, Benjamin White. He'll jump to the bottom and pick up a push from Landon Veliky and Brandon Cattell. Trouble out back. Whoa, can they hold on to it? They're going to go 4 wide, Dawson, but they save it. We had one in the grass. It was Carl Bond, but he holds on.
Yeah, and it's Evan Carl Bond, and that's about as tough a break as you can get because now you're completely helpless. You have nothing you can do now if you're Carl Bond except hope for a caution. He was a lap down anyway, not the night that he wanted by any means. Here with just 4 laps to go. Tinsley back to the outside with Ben White. You'll see some of the cars refresh briefly. And again, Tinsley's just did it with White now on his back bumper. Looks like Joe Gibbs Racing 1-2 there with Tinsley and Ben White, the 20 and the 19. A very familiar sight, but on the bottom, the charge is on. Landon Veliky to the bottom. Here comes Ben White to his nose. Off of 4, and Landon, this is what we all were promised at the end of these VRX dual races.
This is what we've been waiting on. Benjamin White, he wants the win. And all of a sudden now, it seems like the front pack has created a little bit of a breakaway all the way back to right around the 23rd, 24th place running cars. And so at this point, only 3 cars out of this lead pack would be eliminated. At the front, though, it's still Tinsley and Parker White pushing up top. Benjamin White and Landon Veliky pushing on the bottom. And at what point here, Dawson, do we see somebody try to get this 3rd lane working? It'll be 2 laps to go next time, and we know if we get the white flag, this race is official. At what point, what do you try to make it? Either go for the win or try to go to the front, or do you just stay where you are?
Well, it's really interesting now because only 3 cars outside the transfer are currently in the lead pack. Almost trouble out back with Hennings and company back there. Around Hennings, around Adam Young, around Masowicz. 2 laps to go at Daytona. And like I said, only 3 guys right now in this lead pack would be out if the race ended. It'd be Hennings, Delgado, and Miller for now. So really, you don't have very far to go if you're outside the transfer spots. A lot of guys are already well and out of it, out at the back of the field, and that makes this a very unique scenario. Off of 2, Tinsley back to the push of Parker White and Adam Garza. On the bottom, it's still White, Veliky, Cattell, and Novak. Up the middle, Cody Nagels and Steven Miles, the Nightmare teammates, the first to try it in 3.
It's going to take them a little bit to get up here. I don't know if they'll have enough time. The 19 of White on the bottom, and here goes Garza. He'll leave out Parker White as he jumps to the inside. Wyatt Tinsley going to try to cover it with the block. He does so, but he immediately moves right back up to the high side. Him and Parker White have been working good together. Trouble out back. Ooh. Can we make it to the white flag? It's close. Yes, we can. No, that's a horrible break for Hennings and multiple others. They're going to be out of it, but the race is official. 1 lap to go at Daytona.
Here we go. Final lap of VRX Simulators Duel number 1, and it's Wyatt Tinsley on the outside of the racetrack. Parker White, Dalton Milam to continue to roll that line forward. The bottom runs out of steam. Garza, White, Veliky. They will make the race as of right now, but not going to win it and not going to start as close to the front as I'm sure they would like. To the bottom goes Tinsley. Does Parker White make a move? Look at McClenny. To the bottom goes the 05. He may have a look at this. Nathan Harper as well. The race to the finish. McClenny goes high. White throws a block. McKinney to the bottom. They wreck. Parker White goes sideways. He saves it. Garza wrecks in the tri-oval. Wyatt Tinsley wins dual race number 1.
Wow, what a crazy finish to that one. Not going to say it's the best one that we've seen, but for Wyatt Tinsley, he'll take home the $100, and he will be starting second on the inside for the PGR 500. As for that last position, it is going to be interesting to see who got it. Again, I cannot stress how tough of a break that was for Brian Hennings and a couple others that got in a wreck right as we were getting ready to cross the white flag, and unfortunately, that's going to cost them their chances of making it to the first annual PGR 500. But how about it? Wyatt Tinsley wasn't able to grab a PGR win just yet. Now he's got one here in the duels.
Yeah, big win for him. And out back in the transfer spot, we're going to take a look at the replay because some interesting scenarios there off of turn number 4. And McClenny goes from 4th to out at the very last moment in the 0-5, and the toughest of tough breaks for Cade McClenny, as unofficially he has missed the first annual PGR 500. And that, again, as tough a break as tough gets, but we'll take a look here in a moment as Tinsley celebrates. He burns it down. He wins the duel race, and that is official. And he will start from the third starting position for tomorrow afternoon's PGR 500. And if you think that these duel races did not mean anything to the drivers that won them, watch that celebration that Wyatt Tinsley just did and tell me it doesn't mean anything. He's still burning it down here on the front stretch.
Well, I got to be honest, Dawson. That's a bad block from Parker White when I was looking back at the replay that cost the 05 his race. I'll note that for now, but we'll go back and actually look at it. We'll have to see if race control makes any sort of decision on that. I know it was for the second spot, but boy, you certainly feel there for the 05 of McClenny. But a great comeback story. As for everybody else, a couple more wrecks. But nonetheless, it was all Wyatt Tinsley at the line. Harper, not quite a chance. He won his heat race, and if he had a little bit more distance, maybe could have stolen here from Wyatt Tinsley, but it's not going to happen here tonight. And for Tinsley, he should be celebrating. He's getting an opportunity tomorrow to potentially go out and win himself $2,000.
So we'll look back at the entire white flag as we go back to the blind squirrel replay. Brian Hennings gets turned by J.R. Miller, and that may be notable as well. We'll keep an eye on it because J.R. makes it into the race, and Hennings and Masowicz do not, unofficially here. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. Oh, man, Hennings comes back down and collects Masowicz there in the tri-oval as those two wrecked right before the white flag. Then up ahead, we raced all the way back around, and this is a pretty normal last lap, let's say. I don't want to use the word normal, but this is about what we expect for the end of a race, for the end of a super speedway race, and one where money is on the line. This is about what I expected. And going down the front stretch here, we'll get all the way down around the backstretch. A big move by Garza at the bottom doesn't work. McClenny, Harper, and Milam. You see Milam, I think they wanted to go bottom. Milam is a little late to the punch here in 3. And here's kind of what's in question now. Is Parker White and Cade McClenny off of turn number 4. McClenny goes high, goes back to the bottom, and it's that contact right there from Parker White onto McClenny that is now a bit in question, along with maybe some contact out back with J.R. Miller. And unfortunately, we're in a bit of a holding pattern for any potential discipline to either of these drivers. So let's watch it again and kind of be the judge for yourself. McClenny gets to the top. He gets to the bottom, and now the question will be, does McClenny establish his position when Parker White turns back down the speedway and gets into the 0-5? You see McClenny go off to his left and tries to save it and just comes across a little bit short in 21st on the unofficial scoring. Then they reckon the trial as well. Boy, they are so lucky. We saw this the other night in Heat 6, and I thought about this when it happened, Austin, and I know it's unrelated now that they all crossed the line, but we saw in Heat number 6, I believe it was, the field got close to the white flag, and a caution was not thrown, and they wrecked before the line with Garrett Conrath and some others, and a caution flag was not thrown, and the leaders were able to drive away, and those guys that got in the wreck or had to slow down were just unfortunately kind of taken out of it. In this case, they're awfully lucky that they weren't right before the white flag, or that could have been a lot more devastating than it was.
And I do want to add real quick, Logan York in the chat, not sure if this is official, but says Parker White did get EOL'd, and that would move Cade McClenny in if that is the case. Again, we'll wait till we get official word here from one of race control here this afternoon, but it's a tough break, and part of me kind of wonders a little bit why. I don't think it was the worst block we've ever seen, but for Parker White at that point, I mean, what did he really gain? I don't think he was going to have an opportunity to win it at that point, and if he covers the block, it keeps him in second. It's a difference of one or two positions to start, and if he does get EOL'd, again, this is but if he does, he may be going back and looking at that and saying, man, should I let that one slide for a chance to make it into the big event? And Parker ran such a phenomenal race. He did everything right to get to that point, as did Cade McClenny. And so, two guys, one of them's going to get an unfortunate break. And either way, we saw some great racing. We saw some chaos. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in Duel 2. In real life, Dawson, it seems like a lot of times one of the duels is a little bit more tame than the other. We'll have to see if that's the case for Duel 2 here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, and that duel will go off in about 20 minutes from right now, and we still await any kind of official word from race control on the status of Parker White in the 53, because this is going to greatly affect who is in and who is out of the PGR 500, so we will try to give it a moment and continue to fill some time as we await an official call. And also reminder, because this came up earlier in the week as well with Aaron Brown, there is an appeals process also. So even if a penalty is assessed here tonight, here this afternoon, there may be an appeal, there may be a review, and then there may be a different call made based on that appeals process. So just keep that in mind and keep a flexible mind here as we begin to set the field. Let's go through the unofficial finishing results as we wait for the official call here from LCQ race number 1. The winner is Wyatt Tinsley. That is official. It's done. No argument there. No questions asked. Wyatt Tinsley will start from the 3rd position for tomorrow afternoon's PGR 500. Nathan Harper's finishing position is official. He finishes 2nd. What a speed week that Nathan Harper has had. A very strong showing for the driver of the Dallas Cowboys Mustang. He goes 2nd. The car to be a little bit more aware of here is Parker White, unofficially in 3rd. He will start from the 7th position. Landon Velicki is 4th as of right now in the 62, and Zach Novak is 5th. Brandon Cattell finishes 6th. He will race tomorrow afternoon, as will Yakov Kirsanov, the last man in off a last lap call in the LCQ earlier this afternoon, is going to run 7th and race tomorrow afternoon in the PGR 500. So will Ben White in the 45. So will Jacob Emery in the 20, another one of our fellow broadcasters, not for this week, but here at PGR Esports. And Nick Seipel, the call pays off, Austin. He finishes 10th. He's racing tomorrow as well.
And the other 10 drivers that are going to make it are the ones that finished 11th through 20th. Adam Garza takes that 11th spot. Dylan Jones back in 12th. It'll be Adam Young taking 13th with Cody Nagels 14th. Dalton Millam in the 34 car finishes in 15th. Stephen Miles for Nightmare Esports in 16th. And then it's going to be Adolfo Delgado in at 17th. J.R. Miller finishes back in that 18th spot. And the final 2 drivers at the moment unofficially that would make it through is going to be Keaton Swain, and it looks like Thomas Bennett switched those two. Bennett finishes 19th and Keaton Swain finishes 20th. And then, of course, Dawson, the big question of if Parker White gets EOL'd, that would move Cade McClenny, who finished 21st, into that 20th and final transfer position.
Yeah, let's go through the finishing results here of duel number 1 first. We do have an official word, but let's go through the results first. Cade McClenny, as of now, finishes 21st with Ethan Eckert in 22nd. Again, Eckert will lead the field to tomorrow afternoon's PGR 500, so he is in regardless. And actually, that does mean that extra car, in this case it's Keaton Swain, I guess it would technically get in, is going to make the race. So obviously we're getting closer to a potential 43-car starting field tomorrow afternoon. Chris McCullough finishes 23rd, Jason Wallet in 24th, and Bryce Dulaban in 25th. Sean Rogers in 26th, Caden Diedrich in 27th, Justin Branham 28th, Hunter Hastings 29th, and Joey Masowicz in 30th.
And as you said, Dawson, holding that official word until the end, but a lot of people, I think, already figuring it out in the chat. But as we move back to that 31st spot, Julio Villalobos had a great run to this point, but he won't be able to go any further. Justin May finishes 32nd. Evan Carlbon finishes 34th. Joshua McCullough 35th, with Chase Mastretta back in 36th. Daniel Eberhardt finishes in 37th. You've got Matthew Taylor 38th, Joshua Watson Ron Morris Jr. 39th, with Joshua Watson rounding out the top 40. Then it's Dude Conrad 41st, and Tanner Sims finishing in 42nd.
All right, so let's give you the official word. And yes, some had already kind of figured it out and seen the writing on the wall, or were in the race and actually got the call as it happened. Parker White has been assessed an EOL penalty for his actions on the final lap of tonight's dual race number 1. As such, Parker White, the defending champion of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, is eliminated from the PGR 500 after that bad block coming to the checkered flag of this first dual race. As a result, Cade McClenny, who ironically was the non-benefactor there, the unfortunate end result of that incident, he is going to be in by virtue of his 21st place finishing position here tonight. So the 0-5 runs up front all night, gets taken out in the last 1,000 feet, and in the end, McClenny will race for $2,000 tomorrow afternoon in the PGR 500. So that makes our official top 3 now. Wyatt Tinsley, the winner, Nathan Harper in 2nd, and Landon Velicki will start in 7th tomorrow afternoon. Stay tuned with us. We're going to interview your top 3 from this race, the first post-race interviews of the week here in the PGR 500 coming right up after this. Stay with us on PGR Esports. Welcome back to the Daytona International Speedway. A note for you before we go into our post-race interviews. My partner, Austin Green, we're getting kind of close to qualifying time for dual race number 2. He has departed the broadcast booth here, gone down trackside to get in his race car and prepare for his dual race as he attempts to race his way into the PGR 500. As such, I'll take over from here, and we'll get into our top 3 interviews. The first interviews of the week will start with a Nightmare Esports entry and my broadcaster for duel number 2 in a few minutes, Landon Velicki. He will join me in the booth as he finishes 3rd in tonight's race, and will start 7th in the PGR 500. Landon is tossing up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, you're going to be joining me here in just a moment as we await the start of duel number 2, but first you had some business to take care of, and take care of it you did. You ran up front all night. You finished 3rd officially. You'll start 7th in tomorrow afternoon's PGR 500. A crazy duel race, insane racing, big moves, big blocks, as we expected with the names in this field. Take me through your night and how you got it done to a 3rd place finish in this race.
All right, this was an absolutely thrilling race. This was so much fun to be a part of, especially with like the likes of the guys we have had in this race, running up front with them, dicing it up with them. It was so much fun. I mean, my teammates, obviously, like Cody, Chase, Steven, they kind of had issues all throughout the race, and Ethan was running with us, trying to help and everything, but he's already locked into tomorrow, so it didn't really matter much. And by the end of it, it seemed like it was just me versus all these big names. And I was up there, like I said, dicing up with them and everything. It was so much fun. And by the end of the day, I mean, I guess I get 3rd out of it. I hate that for Parker. I really wanted him to be in the future tomorrow. That would have been awesome. But, yeah, I get a 3rd place finish out of it. I wanted to win, obviously, and I'm kind of upset that Chase didn't make it. And we had Evan in there, too, with us tonight, Evan Carlbon. But it's all good. You know, we starting 7th tomorrow, and it's going to be a long one tomorrow, but it's going to be a fun one.
Well, certainly will be a fun one to watch and a fun one to call for myself. Well, you know, your work is kind of done for now, but your prep now switches. Obviously, you do get to join us here in the broadcast booth for Duel 2, but the preparation begins. It's now, you know, just short of 24 hours before green flag for the PGR 500. And, you know, as one of the first guys to officially lock in, what does that preparation look like for a driver? You said it. It's a longer race. We don't run 200 laps on a weekly basis. We're not in the NASCAR Cup Series. We're not running 4 hours a night. So, as a driver, how do you prepare for that, both physically and mentally, as we get ready to run a really, really long extended race tomorrow afternoon?
Well, physically, I'm going to get a lot more sleep, a hell of a lot more sleep tonight than I did last night. I swear I got like 4 hours. I couldn't even sleep last night because I was so stressed out about this. And I'm usually the kind that gets very nervous in kind of situations like this, the big events and being up front, whatever it could be. And I felt nice and cool and calm and collected tonight. It was a nice relief, and it definitely paid off finishing on a podium. But, I mean, mentally, I know the way I work, I'm going to be analyzing literally the entire field just to point out, make kind of lists in my own head, just point, like, it's hard to explain. It's just the way my mind operates, just like what this guy's good at, what he's not good at, what I can take advantage of, who can I work with. I mean, obviously, I'm going to have my Nightmare teammates in there, but yeah, that's the way I'm going to prep for it. I'm sure it's going to be a long night here with us trying to get a good race prep in for tomorrow, 200 laps. It's going to be a thriller, and hopefully one of us will come out on top.
Well, a thriller it certainly will be, and we can't wait to watch you in that race tomorrow afternoon. Before we let you go, a 3rd place finish for you here in this one, and now your work is done. You kind of get to kick your feet up. You get to watch duel number 2, and you're locked in. So before we let you go, any thank you shout-outs you'd like to give?
Nightmare Esports, obviously. Cody, Chase, Steven, Vicente earlier fortunately got knocked out of his LCQ, and then Freddie the other night as well didn't make it out of his heat. But Ethan also, I'm trying to think of who else we had. We had a lot of guys in there tonight, but all of them, and then obviously those of us, I guess I can say us at PGR Esports that are doing these productions this whole week is a ton of fun to be a part of and get to present a large event with big names in it for everyone to come out and see. I think it's been an absolute success so far. We haven't even made it to the feature. It's just been a whole thrilling week of racing and action. Thanks to Triscaro and Baker. Thanks to you and Austin for being up here in the booth for this one. And I guess I'll thank myself for the next one, being up there in the next one, because I enjoy it for sure. But it's fun to just be able to present that to everybody. And now I can do it, like you said, just kick my feet up and have fun watching it. Appreciate you.
Well, thank you for talking to me. A 3rd place finish for you here in duel race number 1. You'll be joining me here just momentarily for duel race number 2. So, you know, have fun here for a few minutes. Go enjoy it. Go take a breather, and we'll see you back up here in a few minutes. But more importantly, we'll see you tomorrow afternoon in the PGR 500.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, Dawson.
Landon Veliky in the 62, the third place finisher tonight, will move to the man on the second step of the podium. And a guy who's had, in my opinion, one of the strongest speed weeks of anybody so far in this go-around of the PGR 500, and that is none other than Nathan Harper in the 4 machine. We'll get his ideas of what he saw in VRX Duel number 1. Nathan Harper, it's Dawson up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Oh, man, a chaotic one to say the least, but I kind of mentioned it a moment ago. It feels like you've had a very strong, very confident speed weeks, and it takes me back an interview I did with you before this week started, where you specifically mentioned that this car, maybe not your favorite, maybe not one that you felt as confident in terms of being able to run up front. And all you've done this week is run up front. It's a second place finish for you in duel number 1, and you'll be starting in position number 5 in the PGR 500. First off, how does it feel? And take us through how you've gotten to this point, how you make the field.
Well, shoot, we're at least getting our entry money back, so I'm kind of hyped about that. So we won't be going home empty-handed at least. But shoot, the heat race I won. That was easy. Anyone could do that. It doesn't matter what skill you are. I was working with Josh there the whole time. It was obvious, and I held the top, and that's a dominant line, and that was just an easy race. Just tires on the seam. There you go. So I didn't really do much of nothing there. But this race, oh yeah, this one's a little more tough. You had more people controlling lanes and just runs all over the place. So I was kind of conservative. I just kind of held my line, and the run, I just waited for the runs, and it just went my way. I don't really think I did anything special, but at the end I got the run, and I was there at the right time. Everything kind of went my way with the runs. That's what I get from it.
Well, and sometimes that's kind of what it takes to get into these kinds of races. And look, I asked Landon a similar question. I'll ask the same of you now. We don't typically run 200 laps a night. We're not NASCAR. We're not even, to a degree, the Coca-Cola iRacing Series, where these guys are running longer length races on a weekly basis. We're not used to that. And a lot of drivers aren't used to running 500 miles. As a driver now, physically to one degree, but mostly mentally, what is the preparation process? How do you prepare yourself to run 500 miles when we, really don't do that all that often?
I don't know. I guess if you can get in a call with people, just kind of communicate with each other, kind of stay attentive, I guess. I like turning left in circles, whether it's super speedway or not. So, I won't get bored, but if you have people to talk to, then I guess that can kind of distract you from boredom, I guess.
Well, certainly goes into it. There will be a lot of communication over the course of 200 laps tomorrow. Well, it's a second place finish for you. So before we let you go, celebrate, take a bit of a breather, and start to prepare for tomorrow afternoon's PGR 500. Kind of go through it really quickly if you want to give any shout-outs or thank yous.
Yes, shout out to Nightmare eSports. They dragged me in their, invited me to their radio call, and we worked together. And Benjamin White, we were also working together, and Wyatt A. Gray for being my eyes. He told me who was out in front, and good coordination. So shout out to those guys. And for you broadcasting, and Mike and Baker for putting this show on. I know it's a lot, and they do a really good job.
Well, certainly has been a fun event so far, but the best is yet to come here with the PGR 500 tomorrow afternoon, and in that race you will start from position number 5. Congratulations on the second place finish tonight, and we will see you tomorrow afternoon for 500 miles.
Thank you, sir. Have a good one.
Nathan Harper, the man who finishes in second here this evening, and that's going to lead us to the man who wins the race. It's none other than the driver for the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, Wyatt Tinsley, in the number 20 machine. We will get him up here and hear his thoughts about this race this week as a whole and his preparation as he gets ready to go race 500 miles tomorrow afternoon. Wyatt Tinsley, it's Dawson Weiss up in the booth. Do you have a copy?
Yes, I do. Hello.
Well, it's a great finish for you, a great run for you. Led almost wire to wire in this one, and boy, was it crazy behind you, but you get to victory lane at the end of this thing. You're going to be starting as close to the front as you possibly could after this VRX Duel race number 1, starting third tomorrow. Take me through your week up to now, your process of making it into the race, and then, of course, to win tonight's Duel number 1 and start on the inside of row number 2.
Yeah, it was a fun race. This week, I almost had second place. I don't think I was beating Ethan on that lap. But then Zwack and them beat it, and then they had their call thing, and then had the pole in my heat. ended up getting the push to the win in my heat as well, which was great from Caden. Appreciate him for pushing me to the win. And then started up front in the duel. Pretty much stayed up front the whole race. I don't think I got lower than 10th this race. I have to go back and check that. But all in all, I stayed up front. I'm glad everyone raced clean. Towards the front there, and I gotta appreciate Parker for at least pushing me. I know he's gonna try to win the race himself, but unfortunately he threw a bad block and got UL'd. But all in all, I had fun. I appreciate to Michael, Matthew, everyone that broadcast puts on the race. The big prize pool for it. Hopefully tomorrow would be a lot of fun, all 200 laps, and we can keep it up front, keep it clean, and hopefully be up front to win the race tomorrow, which would be a lot of fun.
Well, absolutely, and like we said, 200 laps tomorrow, and none of us really are used to running races of this length, but you've had some more experience in these events in past years and have made a number of starts in these 200-lap feature events. So what goes into the preparation? How are you going to prepare for this event? Is it going to be the same as previous years? Kind of take us through the physical and mental preparation of a driver getting ready for 500 miles.
Well, step one's not crashing early on. I've crashed early on in races like this tomorrow. So races of that length tomorrow. So the other thing is basically just knowing your plan, knowing the way to stay up front or stay out of wrecks rather, and overall be there at the end. Every race is kind of different in a way. You're kind of finding your own battles, your own people, your basically on mentality as well. So it's basically the best thing for me is just stay up front, stay aggressive, stay clean is my 3 pretty much means. Obviously, you can't cause any wrecks either, so that's another thing. But yeah, all in all, you're just fighting for it at the end, and hopefully I can come on top tomorrow with a trophy and the big prize money that comes along with it as well.
We'll be looking forward to it also. It's a win here in duel number 1 for you, so before we let you go, is there any other thank yous or shout-outs you'd like to give?
I'd like to give a big shout-out to JDR Graphics for putting his car on, his name on the car, so and having the paint scheme like right before the session went out. Maybe it was my good luck charm. And then big thanks to Parker, Adam Garza, and Caden for working with us. I know Caden didn't make it, and Parker got evil, but glad that Adam made it as well, and also Ben White for working with us as well. So I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you for talking to us here for just a second. And as you get ready for 500 miles tomorrow, congratulations again on the duel win. Go get settled in. Go watch duel number 2 if you so choose, and we'll see you tomorrow afternoon. Yeah, absolutely.
Nice,
we'll see you tomorrow afternoon for 500 miles.
Thank you. Have a nice one.
Wyatt Tinsley in the 20 machine, and what a race in Duel 1, but that's just getting started, ladies and gentlemen. 60 more laps are on tap at the Daytona International Speedway for PGR 500 VRX Duel Race number 2. If you thought that one was good, come on back and watch 60 more laps as we get you set to set the final half of the field for the PGR 500. One quick note, a programming note. Another car has received a penalty on the last lap. J.R. Miller, the 18th place finisher, has received a penalty on the last lap for the contact with Joey Masowicz and Brian Hennings. Miller will miss tomorrow afternoon's PGR 500. As such, the 22nd place finisher makes it into the race. And who else but Ethan Eckert finished in 22nd, so that will not really impact the field, as Eckert was already locked in by virtue of his first place starting position on the pole for tomorrow afternoon's race. What we're going to do is we're going to take a short break. We're going to head over to duel race number 2, and we're going to get all set up for the final 60 laps of the road to the PGR 500 as we set the final 20 starting positions for tomorrow afternoon's feature event. You won't want to miss a thing. We'll be coming back on PGR eSports here shortly. Stay with us, and we'll be right back for duel number 2. Well, good evening once again from Daytona as we bring you in here to dual race number 2, and we're kind of on a bit of a scramble here as we get going here in dual race number 2, and we're going to have to kind of do a number of things at once as we get ready to go. We'll try to get you through the starting grid, but first, my co-host here for duel number 2, Landon Veliky. Landon, you're in. We just talked to you 5 minutes ago. Felt like I just talked to you, and you're back here in the booth for duel number 2, but a good run for you in duel number 1. You're in the PGR 500. You know, now you get to kick your feet up. What are you expecting here from duel number 2?
A little bit of the same. Honestly, I don't know really what to expect from this one, considering like the names we have in here. It's a little bit more of the kind of pro guys, even though we had a lot in the last one as well. And the last race was, in my opinion, it was a fantastic race. I mean, sure, there was wrecks here and there, but it was a lot cleaner than I was expecting, and it was a ton of fun to be a part of. Obviously, very glad I came home with a third place finish, but in this race, I think we're probably going to see a little bit more of the same. I think it's kind of easy to start, a little bit calmer, and then the chaos is just going to continue on. But this is a extremely stacked duel that we have on deck here. It is huge.
Yeah, a ton of huge names in this one, and you'll see them scroll across your screen. Unfortunately, with the quick advance time, we did not have time to get the entire starting lineup announced here, but you'll see them scroll across your screen as here's 21st through 32nd. We'll go through the final I believe 9 cars on the field in this duel, or actually it's going to be a little less than that. We were slated for 41, 39 are on track. And we are ready to get this one underway for the first time. We'll leave those names up for just another second. We'll bring those down because it's time to go. It's a quick turnaround, but what can you do sometimes? It's time to go racing. Let's set the final 20 spots of the PGR 500. Matthew Zwack brings the field into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is in the air. We're racing from Daytona.
Yes. Keep an eye out for your messages. I might send you.
All right. Go ahead and pick them up whenever you're good.
1 second.
Down the Daytona Super Stretch, it's the Apex Racing Society outside pole sitter Matthew Zwack on the push of John Ward, who won his heat race, and Briar LaPrade, who won his heat race. As we get ready to go into this dual race, and now top 4, top 5, top 6, clear on the bottom. All the way back to Alex Hill. Almost trouble back around Justin Champagne. Champagne's able to get it held, but they are 3 wide back around Chris Carter and Jackson Buys. A couple of last chance qualifier drivers. Carter out of his heat as well. Buys coming forward very early in that Toyota Camry, the Subway machine. And Zwack, Ward, LaPrade, Falkingham, Bolin go top 5. Then it's Alex Hill, Nash Brambilla, Jack Clemens, Eddie Kerner, and Kyle Holden, the remainder of the top 10. Further back, Falkingham, Garrett Maines. Other big hitters, Logan York is in this field, Wyatt Gray is in this field, Jeff Merck, Austin Green, Kenny McCullough. I mean, looking all the way down towards the end, Trevor Osmernoth is in this field. I mean, this is a loaded dual race number 2, but unlike dual race number 1, which we saw go 3 wide, 10 rows deep, it was fantastic racing. This dual race, they must have seen that because they have decided we're going to be a little bit smarter in this one. And on lap 3, 58 laps to go, they are single file, about 8-9 cars deep. Champagne and York, the first 2 out of line in 9th and 11th position respectively. As Zwack, Ward, and LaPrade, look at the distance they're leaving between those 3 cars right now up front with Falkingham and Bolin as well. And this front group threatening to drive away from that second pack led back there by Manazzi Major in the 82. Another one of the great stories from this week in the 82. Now they're going to start to catch up, but boy, for a moment there, it looked like the top 14 cars on the racetrack were going to drive away from the remainder of the field. As Zwack leads, Ward is second, LaPrade third, Falkingham fourth, Bolin fifth. The top 8 positions on track have hardly changed since we went under the green flag. 57 laps to go as we get into turn number 1, and they are still single file. I mean, Landon, you're seeing this the same time I am. You just got off the track in dual race number 1. You saw it the same time I did. These guys on the complete flip side of the strategy department here.
For the most part, you lots of guys in the back, like you saw Justin Champagne, Logan York try and make something happen. Now we got Eddie Kerner, Garrett Maines, and here comes the cavalry on the outside line. They don't want to be riding around anymore. They want to go to the front. I think the action's going to pick back up here. But if I can mention somebody that we should probably keep an eye on back here, is the 33 Subway machine of Jackson Buys. He led 29 laps of his heat race, or excuse me, the LCQ race earlier. he dominated it. It was almost, that was like, what, 3 laps he didn't lead, 1 lap potentially, and it was won by Austin Green. Keep an eye out for him in the back, currently sitting around the 20th position. But up front, there's Graham Bolin hopping up to the top side with a push from Alex Hill of Nightmare Esports heading out of 2.
Zwack continues to lead, but for how long as that top line starts to roll? And for a moment, I thought they were going to log laps. Apparently, they've thought better of doing that as well. LaPrade jumps in front of Bolin. Zwack jumps in front of both of those cars. Matthew Zwack continues to lead the way. The JDR Graphics Toyota Camry. You saw Wyatt Tinsley win in a JDR Graphics paint scheme a moment ago. And Matthew Zwack trying to make it back-to-back for the JDR group. John Ward on the inside of the bad fast Toyota Camry for Dega Pros. He'll go to the lead on the push from Daniel Falkingham in the 39. Reminder, Eddie Kerner won his heat race. Daniel Falkingham looking to make it two wins this week for Six Karma Esports, the brand new team in the Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Boy, would they love to win this race. Not only this race, Lennon, but they would love to win tomorrow afternoon as well. That would be a great momentum boost, a great start for that brand new organization, Six Karma Esports, as they make their way into the sim racing world.
Yeah, you can't really bring up a better debut for a new team in iRacing when you go out and win one of the biggest money races of the year with all the biggest names in it, and then hopefully have a good Coke season on top of that. They definitely have 2 very experienced and very seasoned Coke Series drivers, Daniel Falkingham and Eddie Kerner. I say seasoned, I guess Eddie Kerner is new to it, but he's someone that he ain't going to struggle much when he gets there. He's going to do a really good job. Graham Boll and Alex Hill, these 2 are locked at the hip together. Alex Hill does not want to leave Graham Bollin's bumper. He's going to push him to the lead of the bottom on John Ward. Daniel Falkingham sticking with Ward up top. Now Logan York's hung out in the middle.
Can't say any surprise that Alex Hill in the Blender Chevrolet is aggressive early in dual race number 2. No surprise in the slightest. Bowl into the back bumper now of Ward, the leader, as Ward works the lanes here for one of the first times this week. 3 wide, 5 rows deep further back. York buys a couple of others, but they start to bail back towards the bottom and towards the top. Greenfield's in that line. Looks like Joey Preeb is in that line as well. A couple of the last chance qualifier drivers. Back up front. Swack to the bottom. Ward down to side draft. He'll bring Falkingham, LaPrade, and the rest of that top line with him. As Jackson buys and Jake Greenfield try to find spots in line out back. Zwack leads the bottom with Bolin, Hill, Brambilla, Clemens, and York the outside. Ward, Falkingham, LaPrade, Eddie Kerner, and further back you're looking at Garrett Maines, you're looking at Munatsi Major, and Chris Carter has slotted in nicely in 12.
He has, but you know, we were talking about this intensity of the last race compared to this one. This one is obviously getting a little bit more competitive. Briar LaPrade dropping to the bottom with Matthew Zwack behind him, but it still has a kind of calmer sense to it. Towards the end, I know it was towards the end of the last race, of course, but not even towards the end. During, before, after, it's like a whole part, every stage of the race, there were some crazy moves, crazy blocks being made at the front of the... Racing hard and racing clean, really, at the front. That was the key for all of us that did finish up in the top bit of the field in the last one. And right now, there is a little bit of conservatism. I say that we're about going 4 wide in the back. Jeff Mert, Logan York, Jack Clemens, and Jackson Byes, I believe, were hung 4 wide. Ooh, contact with Mike Davenport at 55. Wyatt Gray almost getting caught up in it. So, of course, when I say that, of course, they're going to start going off and start dooring each other and hitting each other. But now Justin Champagne's looking to the top side, not going to be able to grab the right rear. Alex Hill was peeking for it, too. And Alex Hill's one of the, I guess, one of the winningest drivers in PGR history. And he's someone you always need to watch out for. Someone that took a little bit of a hiatus, makes his way back to it for the PGR 500. And now he's going to go split the middle on Justin Champagne in the back. How about that?
Yeah, big moves out back around Alex Hill and Justin Champagne. Aaron Brown, Jeff Merck arriving on the scene as well. Look at Hill through the middle. Alex Hill is as aggressive as ever here early in this duel race. Not a lot of guys willing to go with him now. Merck will go to the middle, York will go to the middle, and Joey Preeb will stay in the middle as the field works back on the banking of turn number 1. Hill through the middle, he's going to run out of room trouble. Out behind the leaders, it's Jackson Byes, Wyatt Gray. Big crash in turn number 1 is going to take out a number of contenders on lap number 10.
That is unfortunate. Jackson Byes, right when I was just bragging on him, he has a lot of damage on 33 machine. Wyatt Gray, his night will most likely be over. The right front of his machine is just hanging on by a thread. And Wyatt Gray, he's not one of the Coke Series drivers, you know, not exactly a huge name in iRacing, but that's someone that is always a threat in these next. Oh, he's coming up. He's going to hit Jackson Byes. We got trouble under yellow. There's some, I don't know if that was intentional or Wyatt Gray just couldn't spin, but a little bit of trouble between Jackson Byes and Wyatt Gray under the yellow flag. And two of the bigger threats that we had for this duel race are now going to be out of tonight's event.
And Jackson Byes had such a great run in his LCQ race earlier this afternoon, and it's an unfortunate end. He kind of gets drawn into the outside wall. He gets turned sideways. Gray, Greenfield, Chris Walker, Corey Taylor, Michael Witt. I mean, this is a number of drivers that come out of the LCQ that are involved in this first accident. Oh, man, Jake Greenfield can't make the save. He noses into the outside retaining wall. Jordan Slater on the brakes. Stephen Luttrell, same thing. They're both on the brake pedal trying to get slowed down, and Slater misses that by a matter of inches. And Gray slides down the banking, so really Gray and Buys, the only two with extreme damage here under this first caution. I mean, Wyatt Gray, you can see the right front tire is off the moorings there, and it's the same thing we've seen all week. Austin talked about it back on Tuesday. It's almost like a car can get sucked into the outside wall, and watch Jackson Buys in the Subway Camry do just that. He gets sucked into the outside wall. Greenfield tries to go underneath him, and as he does, he tacks the left rear quarter panel of that Subway Camry and turns turns Buys down into Gray. Look at this hit. Wyatt Gray's going to nose off the outside wall. Greenfield, Kyle Holden. Oh, man, Roberto involved as well, the 028. There you see Taylor, you see Walker and Austin Green up ahead get a piece of it. So Austin Green was just with me for duel number 1. He's already involved in an incident here just short of 15 laps in. And Wyatt Gray's going to come to a stop just short of Jordan Slater and Stephen Luttrell. About as tough a break as you can possibly get. We'll get one more angle of it as the field worked through turn number 1. We may go on board with Jordan Slater's car as well. And Jackson Buys, gets turned off the wall. Gray noses in hard. And you see the chain reaction. Let's let this go for a second because there was some additional contact here after the incident as Gray got down into the grass. And Gray driving through the infield grass. Let's let it roll. You see smoke pouring out the back of that Chevrolet as well. So you're right, Landon. The night likely over early for Wyatt Gray. And here comes Jackson Buys. Let's see what... Ooh. Certainly don't want to speculate on that one, but perhaps some frustrations in an event like this, as early as it was, the stress, the stakes, what's on the line for Wyatt Gray. It's a tough break for him, and, you don't want to justify anything, but I can certainly understand the frustration going through the head of the driver of the 18.
Yeah, and with someone like Jackson Buys, too, I mean, those two are, as far as I know, they're friends, and to have some friend-on-friend kind of controversy going on right there, and it's just really unfortunate. Obviously, just two of the guys that we would expect to see at the front of this thing, especially like Wyatt Gray, just to get taken out so early on in their duel race. It's sad to see that, and it is sad to see the red. We won't speculate, but what appeared to be frustrations being carried out by Wyatt Gray on the backstretch. It's not something you ever want to see, but at the end of the day, you understand it in a way because Wyatt's one of the guys that's expected to be up front and is going to compete in tomorrow's race, and he's just taken out on lap 10 of this event here tonight. I'll tell you what, Chris Walker for the Jack Shack did a fantastic job avoiding this crash. It's not anything pretty. It's not like he was seething through lines or anything like that, but he was on those brakes right behind Austin Green, and he might have got a little bit piece of it on the right side, but just quick reflexes for the 23 Chris Walker. Austin Green as well, even though he's going to have a little bit more damage to deal with. But yeah, it's just a tough deal for everyone involved in this one. Lots of guys are going to be out of tonight's race. Keegan Huey, George Buck, Travis Roberto, and Kyle Holden have all disconnected from the session. Their night is officially over. And it's a tough break for those guys and everyone involved in a wreck so early.
Yeah, tough break certainly for the guys that have retired from this race early on. They're on just lap 13. The hope's already over for Kyle Holden and Travis Roberto, two of the guys that we were looking forward to seeing. One of them, Roberto, from the LCQ race earlier this afternoon. Wyatt Gray as well, a tough break for him. His night and his week comes to a close here on lap number 13. A note as well, one of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series drivers, Colin Bowden, was unable to make the grid. He was not in the session in time to take the grid for dual race number 2, so his PGR 500 is over as well. So a tough break for the driver of the 17 of Colin Bowden. But as we turn now to the business at hand, we turn to what is remaining in this race, 47 laps to go. When we take the green flag, and we now get close to maybe one or two more cautions, eliminating that green flag pit stop that we saw in dual race number 1. So we await the status of that. I believe 35 laps would be about the range that they can make. If a caution comes out around lap 25, it may eliminate the need for that pit stop altogether. Up front, Daniel Falkingham, the 6 Karma Esports driver, on the front row alongside John Ward. It'll be Falkingham's teammate lining up behind him and Eddie Kerner here with Garrett Maines on the outside of row 2. Row 3, Briar LaPrade and Matthew Zwack. Row 4, Alex Hill and Graham Bolin. Row 5, Chris Carter and Munatsi Major. 47 to go, dual race number 2. Green flag going to go back in the air, and we're back underway once again from Daytona. It's a nice jump for Daniel Falkingham on the bottom side of the racetrack. Ward and Maines, though, are tandem up, headed back towards the banking of 1. Falkingham will opt here to stay on the bottom in front of his teammate Eddie Kerner as the field works up the banking.
It's new 6 Karma Esports team looking pretty good now, 1 and 2 in dual race number 2. Briar LaPrade, another name, someone that won his dual race in the eNASCAR Coke Series Clash at Daytona a couple days ago, won his dual race, so he's got experience winning these duels. He's sitting in P3 right now, and Graham Bolin would have moved down to the bottom, but he's not going to have any help. Munatsi Major's going to have a look, so is Nash Brambilla, and there's a 5-car breakaway up front.
Yeah, 5-car breakaway up front is right back to Garrett Maines, and then it's about a second. Almost some trouble out back. Is there going to be trouble? Oh, man. I thought for sure Logan York was playing pinball there in the middle, but they get away with it. Back to what I was saying, the breakaway here up at the front. It's not going to last very long, I don't think, as long as Bolin and these guys can stay hooked up. But if they start to race too wide, we start to get into that danger zone, Landon. And this front 5 is starting to drive away from the pack behind them. The gap is 8.5, make it 9/10 on the super stretch.
This is the worst thing that this second group can be doing right now. That group consists of 5 of the best drivers we've ever had in the next-gen car. And these guys are still just double file, racing with themselves, and they keep losing tenths and tenths of a second every single lap. The gap's down to about 1.7 for the leader, from the leader of this group up to Daniel Falkingham, who's the leader of the race. And these guys are still going at it. This is not good. Now, this is obviously fantastic for Daniel Falkingham, Eddie Kerner, Briar LaPrade, John Ward, and Garrett Maines. Great news for them. If they're able to break away and, barring that this race actually goes green, these guys are in a fantastic spot. However, they're starting to figure it out. They're starting to line up. Logan York hung out on the outside a little bit. Now they're going to start reeling him back in because now they're single filing out. Logan York trying to get in line in front of Jack Clemens. Definitely forced that move. A little bit of left rear damage on Logan York now. But this is good for the rest of the field. They saw what was playing out in front of them, and they decided as a group, we can't let this happen. We need to catch back up. That's good on them.
How about the coordination, too? As soon as we started talking about the time they were losing, it was instant. They instantly going into one were like, oh no, we're losing the draft. We're losing too much time. And it was a very well coordinated move. It did not take long at all for that pack from Justin Champagne all the way back through the field to get lined up in one single file line, which allows them to run down this lead group, and they're already back in the draft. They're already within 0.8 of a second. Really good work by that second pack there. Now there's a bit of a gap from Aaron Brown back to Jackson Anderson, and then another gap further back from Joey Preeb to Devin Maines, but those will close up as this second group catches the leaders, and those groups start to tail onto the tail end of the field. That was about as coordinated a move as I have ever seen when something like that happens. It's oftentimes hard to get guys to commit, to get guys to say, all right, we're going to drop in line, we're going to have to go single file, we're going to have to run these guys down. Not often it's very coordinated like that, but for those guys in the second pack, really, really good work. Briar LaPrade jumps on the nose of Justin Champagne. Ward is trying, man. He's tried twice to get up on the nose of Briar LaPrade. He will do so here in one. It's a power move for the captain at Dega Pros. It's John Ward in the 92, and he'll have a big run after the tandem push from LaPrade down the backstretch.
I am thoroughly impressed and honestly proud of the field for getting that communication down, understanding that they were about to have massive problems, not even have a shot at a top 5 in this duel race. I can, speaking from a driver's experience, how frustrating it is when you're trying to tell people to get in line because we have to catch back up to the lead pack. And they actually did it, and like you said, right as we mentioned it, that's where we have powers up here sometimes. But down at the bottom, these 6 Karma guys, Falkingham, Kerner, still just locked together, not wanting to make a move on each other. Falkingham didn't want to really clear up right here. They're staying committed, but they've also got Garrett Maines behind him, another great driver in general and especially in the next gens. A little bit of a gap on that outside line, about 5 cars broken away, but it's coming back with Jack Clemens and that would be Aaron Brown back there, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, back to 2x2 throughout the entire field. Looks like we've finally got everyone back in one pack.
Man, what great work by the field to get back together. Got a question in the chat about who is locked in out of this race. It would be Matthew Zwack in the 18, that blue and yellow car on the right side of your screen, about 7th deep in line on the inside. That's currently the Apex Racing Society outside pole sitter for tomorrow afternoon's PGR 500. Regardless of his finish, he'll lock in, but it may matter if the top 20 features him or does not feature him as to who may or may not make it in, how many cars will start tomorrow afternoon's feature event. Champagne to the outside of LaPrade. Hill will go with him. And don't look now, Landon, but one of our broadcasters has made it to the front. Austin Green in the 40 machine is second, now third on the outside as they're 3 wide again, headed for 3.
John Ward just threw a mean block on Justin Champagne. That was a fierce move from John Ward. He told him to get out of his way and sent Justin Champagne all the way to the backfield. How about Jeff Burke with a power move up in front of John Ward? A little taste of his own medicine right there. But yeah, Austin Green, who was involved in the first crash that we had here tonight, he's found his way back into the top 10. We heard him on the call for the last dual race, probably learned a lot observing, watching it. I will say there is something that I noticed John Ward do earlier, kind of controlling lanes. That's not something we often see in the next-gen car. We saw it a ton in that first dual race. And it was something that I was personally not used to when I had Wyatt Tinsley and Parker White, like, controlling the bottom. Like, they'd come from the top, come down, park that lane themselves, and then control back up to the top. John Ward pulled that same move. That's not something that we usually see here as they go around the lap car of Jackson Buys. Destroyed race car for him. It was like some steering damage. Can't really steer too well or accurately back there. Luckily, the field's going to be able to get around it, but yeah, how about Jeff Merck for NBG all the way up to the lead with a push from John Ward on lap 22?
Yeah, Jeff Merck says, I want a chance to lead this thing, the MBG Motorsports entry, but now look on the bottom. Ward and Hill, a coordinated move. John Ward flexing serious muscle in this second dual race. The 92 back to the point. Alex Hill, Falkingham, Kerner will follow. Outside now will be Merck. And then Austin Green, Jack Clemens is there as well. Oh, Ward gonna get turned! John Ward gets turned by Alex Hill. Ward down to the inside will hit the inside safer barrier, and as soon as it was going well, it turns awry for John Ward of the 92 as he gets turned on the bumper of the Blender Chevrolet of Alex Hill. We got to keep it up front. 22 laps on the board now, 3 wide back around Zwack and Falkingham. Green and Merck now brings them back to the lead. Kerner leads, but only for a moment. That lap to Jeff Merck. It's 38 laps to go in dual race number 2. Another lap car ahead. This one's going to get a bit interesting as the field is 3 by 3. We may have to go 4 wide here.
Falkingham and Kerner have now gotten separated. Alex Hill hopped up in front of his old teammate Dan Falkingham, 4 wide through the field. Oh, this is not going to be good. They barely are able to make it. Logan York getting squeezed down onto Eddie Kerner's door. They're still trying to figure it out back here. Logan York looks like a chicken with his head cut off in the middle, just kind of darting around every lane, everywhere he can, trying to make his way to the front. And now we've got a little 5-car breakaway again. It's not going to last long because Kerner's clear and they're not far enough away or connected enough to pull away at this moment. But there's some crazy racing. What a shame for John Ward. Now, he did take a pretty hard slap on the outside wall, maybe a little bit of wheel damage. I don't think his race is over, though. He's going to need a caution, obviously, and we're probably going to get one the way we're racing right now. Oh, crash in the back. Trouble in the back. Someone just got walled. The 87 machine. Trying to figure out who that might be. That's going to be Joey Preeb, I believe. And the 87 just got turned into the outside wall. He's able to recover and still stay in the draft, so no caution flag flying there. Good on everyone here, including the field, him as well, for not turning that into something bigger than it could have been.
Well, good on the field for catching Joey Preeb here and allowing him to kind of slot back in, and now they begin to run down the lead pack again, so good on them. Up front, new leader at Daytona. It's the man you just heard his voice a few minutes ago, and he's going to the point. Austin Green, for the first time tonight, leads dual race number 2 on the bumper of Daniel Falkingham. 36 laps to go. Matthew Zwack is up to third, the outside pole sitter for tomorrow's 500-mile feature. Alex Hill coming back to the front with the help of Jack Clemens in the Dollar Tree Toyota Camry. Now Hill will drop into the bottom. Aaron Brown will help Clemens, and now Hill back to the outside. Alex Hill is on a warpath in this race. The 77 has been anywhere and everywhere to try to gain positions. Keep in mind as well, a quick note. Reminder, that first group to short pit in our first dual race pit on this very lap in dual race number 1. We'll see if that's the case here coming up in just a few short moments, but it's Alex Hill that may get all the way to the point off turn number 4.
Graham Bowl and Briar LaPrade have been fiending for trying to take some right rears and go up top, and they finally were able to do it. Chris Carter's hung out in the middle. Logan York's going to go up and block that advance. these two look like they might be working together, either in a call, maybe, or just they know each other on the track, know each other from the Coke Series, and trust each other. They're apparently not, because Graham Bolin now hops back down to the middle in front of Chris Carter, hanging out Briar LaPrade to deal with pushing Logan York. Chris Carter's not dead yet in that middle line, but they're probably going to come back up, hit a park hit on the wall, excuse me. If Graham Bolin comes up, they're actually going to stay down here. Bolin's going to go all the way down. That's an interesting move, Dawson. Graham Bolin going down, all the way down. Contact with Logan York, so much going on right now. We might be seeing a pit stop here if Graham Bolin's making that kind of move.
I was just saying the same thing. We saw the Coca-Cola iRacing Series drivers do it in duel number 1. And now here in duel number 2, we're going to see the same thing. There it is. Austin Green, Matthew Zwack, Daniel Falkingham, Jeff Merck, Eddie Kerner, Graham Bolin, Garrett Maines, Nash Brambilla, further back, Jackson Anderson, a couple of other cars, Mike Davenport, and Kenny McCulla will make their pit stops here on lap number 27. We'll watch them on pit road here for just a moment as they work their way through the pit lane. Back up front, though, Alex Hill, Jack Clemens, Aaron Brown, Chris Carter, Logan York, Devin Maines, Jordan Slater. This entire group all the way back to the Chris Walker machine that is the last car in line are going to come up to pit road. Let's see if they make their pit stops here this time by. And Landon, it's interesting, and we'll pause for a second before I give this thought, but it was interesting last race. Yep, they answer. And this is what I was going to talk about. When you continue to run and you run the tank out, you lose so much track position. Almost trouble. There is trouble. Devin Maines around on pit road in the 5. He will nose the inside wall, and he may get hit by another car. Oh, Maines and the rest of the field got so lucky there, Landon, that he was in the pit boxes, and those cars were able to go straight through him.
That is a definite strike of luck. Chris Carter almost came through like a bowling ball, almost killing a few guys right there. Luckily did not, was able to lock it down. Maybe got a speeding penalty on that one. We're not 100% sure. We'll have to keep an eye on that. The leader of the race right now is Brandon Parsons, who is all by himself. Then you have Trevor Osranoff 8 seconds behind him. These two are staying out, and this is not good for their race. Not going to be able to pit with anybody right here. That is unless they've somehow managed to save enough fuel in the caution laps and sitting at the back to continue on their way. That's going to be interesting to keep an eye on. They're obviously going to get caught by the likes of Alex Hill, Briar LaPrade, Jack Clemens, Austin Green, everyone else filing back onto the racetrack now. Alex Hill with a fantastic pit stop. He is well clear of everybody. He's going to get caught by Austin Green, Daniel Falkingham, and Garrett Maines, it appears. They're going to go right around Alex Hill. He's going to have to find a spot in line. But I'm not sure what Parsons and Osranoff are doing. They might be okay on fuel. Osranoff has a little bit of rear end damage. That's not helping him at all by any means. That could be something to keep an eye on here. And if that's the case, it's a strategic play. But at the end of the day, it's really not going to make much of a difference considering the main pack is only 14 seconds behind of Brandon Parsons.
Yeah, Brandon Parsons, this is the most lonely feeling in racing at a super speedway when you are by yourself and during a pit cycle. As the Apex Racing Society Ford Mustang leads the field, so he'll get credit for a couple laps led, but I think he may have to make his pit stop before long. Well, he spurns it again. He'll go another lap here. He'll come down and collect lap number 30, so racking up the laps led. Same for Trevor Osranoff as he comes off turn 4. Now, he's gained a helper here in Jake Greenfield. Chris Carter is not far behind them as well, so interesting storyline here for Trevor is he's got a couple cars around him that he can maintain some pace. But those leaders are bearing down on these two cars. New leader up front is Daniel Falkingham, as Alex Hill has dropped way behind the leader. Not sure what happened to the 77, but some kind of development here as he's now well behind Falkingham and the rest of the leaders.
And as far back as he is, he's actually the tail end of what I guess we can consider as the lead pack right now. They're going to come around Trevor Osranoff for second place. No issue for them there. They're all single file. There is a second pack being led by Mike Davenport in the 55 for Team PGR. He's got Kenny McCulla, Jordan Slater behind him as well. This is only a group of 7 cars here, and that's not really good considering the lead pack is still single file. They've obviously got more power and numbers right now. Kenny McCulla is one of the best pushers in the game, but at the end of the day, you kind of need some help with it. So there's 2 packs here, and this pack up front is really only about 17 cars that I'm counting up here. Just all in a single file line, and my prediction is we're going to be seeing this for quite a few laps. These guys know that they broke away from some guys, and they're going to try and stay as together as possible. Alex Hill's lost this draft. Actually, he's stuck in the back. He's completely lost the lead pack right here. Alex Hill sitting in the, trying to find it right now, 18th position. Oh, he's going to turn somebody. He turned Joey Prieb, and Joey Prieb, an amazing save in the 87. Aggressive pushing from Alex Hill, but that's just not going to help his case either. Now he has no help, and is just going to continue losing the pack with how unformed the back of the pack is where he is right now. Osborne's still staying out behind him. He's going to take over a lead pusher for Alex Hill. That is a good combination. The leaders are now coming around Brandon Parsons. So now Daniel Falkingham is officially the leader of the race, and these guys are still single file, and they're probably going to sit like this for quite a few laps here.
Yeah, and Alex Hill dropping out. This is going to be an interesting storyline to watch if this race continues on Green Flag Racing, Landon, because you've got the 16th, 17th, 18th place cars in this pack. Then Mike Davenport leads that pack. He's 19th, and Kenny McCulla is 20th. This could very well turn in to about a 9, 10, 11, 12 car battle for those transfer positions. Their race is not over. If you're Jordan Slater, Morgan Cook, Munatsi Major, Stephen Luttrell, Devin Sprecher, your race is not over. You are very much still at range of a transfer spot. Even though you lost the lead draft, we're going to fight out transfer spots well over 5 seconds behind the leaders should it stay like this with 28 laps to go. So an interesting storyline to continue to watch as we get closer to the end of this race. Completely forgot in the quick turnaround between the two dual races. We do have some onboard cameras here as well. We'll begin with Trevor Osbornoth in the 89 for the Jack Shack. You see the Jack Shack logo there. Osbornoth is in that pack that will race for those transfer positions. As of now, he's in 17th, but certainly a long way to go in his night as the stress continues for him. Jake Greenfield, who's right behind him in that pack, not on the lead lap, but in that pack regardless. He's got an onboard camera on for us as well with the VR setup here at the Daytona International Speedway. So interesting one there. We got Jeff Merck on the broadcast camera as well. He runs position number 4 right now in that 60 car for NBG Motorsports. He's got the onboard. He's locked in right now in 4th position as well. We got one more driver in the onboard cameras as well, but there is no label on the name of this driver. This is one of the drivers in the field here tonight in dual race number 2. We've got a couple of onboard shots for you throughout the race. 26 laps to go when the leaders come back around. And I'll tell you, look, Landon, I said it earlier in one of the other LCQ races. This kind of feels like old school super speedway racing back in like 2012, 2013, 2014. When these guys would start to log laps and wait for the end of the race. The 2021 Daytona 500 comes to mind as one of those races as well.
Well, yeah, and in an iRacing context, this is kind of foreign to those of us at PGR. We don't really see this often. There's really only 2 cars that this ever happens with. The next gens being one, and then the Gen 6 is just considering how powerful drafting is in these cars. And I'll be honest, it kind of makes you run out of things to talk about because these guys up front in the lead pack, they know they're safe. If they just keep doing their job, they're fine. They're in. They don't have a reason to race outside of the $100 bonus for winning the dual race. But guys like, Mike Davenport at the back, he's going to be stressed. He's currently in, but then you have Jordan Slater as well. I'm trying to find, where did Kenny McCulla go? Kenny McCulla's in the pits.
Oh no.
A lap down.
Would it be a connection issue potentially for Kenny McCulla in the 03? It certainly looks like it is to me.
It's not. It is not a connection issue. He blew, I think, oh no, Kenny McCulla blew up. I believe at first glance. Let me continue looking. I'm going to go on board with him and see. He was pushing Mike Davenport. Let me listen here. Yup, engine expired for Kenny McCulla trying to push Mike Davenport. What a shame for some of these older guys like John Ward tonight. The guys that we've seen in money racing for years are out. Well, John Ward's not out. He's still alive, but currently out of the lead pack with a damaged race car. And Kenny McCulla blows his engine trying to push Mike Davenport. What a shame for the captain of McCulla Motorsports. He's going to be out completely of tonight's event. So disappointing for those guys. And that just leaves, that hurts that second pack even more. Because now they don't have another number. They keep passing guys, but it's hard for the guys to catch back up. Now this is only a 6-car pack. Chris Walker tried to attach to it, but he got left by this group of 6. And Mike Davenport just has to rely on Jordan Slater and Munatsi Major to try and push him for as long as possible until they make a move on him. And he's not dumb. He knows, that it's coming. And it'll be up to him to just try and get some help, try to work out some deals with the guys in this pack. But what a shame for Kenny McCulla.
want to bring back up this driver cam view because we did get confirmation in the chat. It's going to be Devin Maines that carries the onboard camera for us. Devin runs back here in the 27th position. The U.S. Army number 5 Chevrolet in this pack that features John Ward and several other cars back here as well. Chris Blanchard is in this pack. Corey Taylor is in this pack as well. This is the third group. They desperately need a caution, and I'm going to be honest, Landon, the way it's going right now, I'm just not sure we're going to get one. I mean, this race is completely spread out. It's a very, you called it foreign. I like that term because this entire week we have not seen a race get to this point, even in duel number 1. The entire field got back together in the final 25 or so laps of that race once everybody came off pit road, and we continued to race and continued to have incidents, continued to have tough racing. In this one, you know, if you're in this first 15, I mean, do you even really contest? We saw what happened in duel number 1 when somebody inside the transfer positions tried to contest a position on the last lap, and that was Parker White. And Parker was EOL'd. He was essentially eliminated by that move he made coming into the tri-oval, and he is out. You see that, and you're a driver in duel 2. Is it even worth it to contest here with 21 laps to go?
That entirely depends on what these drivers' priorities are. Do they want to go out and win the race? Do they want that $100 bonus, or do they want the safety and security of being in tomorrow's race for something even larger? That's up to every driver. Everybody's different, especially when it comes to racing and their mentalities. Everybody is certainly different on that front. In my opinion, these guys are just going to keep riding and riding and riding until somebody makes the first move. And the instant that one person does it, that's when the chaos will start. I'm not going to venture off and say that we're going to not have a caution for the rest of the race. That all depends on when the moves are going to start being made and who's going to make them. And if it causes a crash, which it very well could, it wouldn't be very smart for the guys in this pack, the lead pack, to cause an accident or be at risk of having their whole weekend ruined by racing for essentially nothing outside of $100. Prioritizing that instead of the security, that's just, to me, I wouldn't really do it. You're just sitting here, you're safe for now. Just ride, continue to ride, and let it all unfold in front of you, and you'll probably get a decent finish out of it.
So a couple of updates here. Remember Brandon Parsons that got caught by the lead pack? He has caught on to this lead group in 15th position. As of now would transfer in, but we await the status of potentially his fuel tank in that 00 machine. That second pack is about to be overtaken by the third one. Back here, Alex Hill, Trevor Osmanoff, Joey Preeb are the only 3 in this pack on the lead lap. Chris Carter is 1 lap down. These 4 cars are about to be overtaken by the group led by Mike Davenport right here. And this group, all of these 6 cars are on the lead lap right now. Davenport, Slater, Major, Cook, Smrecker, and Stephen Luttrell. All of these cars are lead lap machines. If they do catch that pack of 4, they'll be fighting for 5 transfer positions between 9 lead lap cars. And what a unique way to crown the last 5 drivers in the PGR 500, should it come to that, if that pack does overtake the one led currently by Alex Hill. So we'll await, we'll watch it, we'll keep an eye on it throughout the closing stages of this racing. That may very well be the last 5 drivers on the grid tomorrow afternoon. Up front, still all Falkingham, Maines, Wack, Merck, and Kerner. No change up front over the past 15 laps since these guys came to pit road, and you see the distance being given, the room being given. I said it to Matt Mettler earlier in the last chance qualifier races. Feels a little bit like the calm before the storm. But again, after watching the ending of duel number 1, seeing what happened to a couple drivers on the last lap, I'm not sure how much action there's going to be. There will be some, but you got to take some measured risks here. Don't do too much to jeopardize. Just do enough to, okay, I took a try at it. We're going to ride from here. We're going to go get in the race, and we're going to settle it out on track for 200 laps tomorrow. And it seems to be what most of these drivers are wanting to do. Another car about to go 1 lap down, or maybe even more than 1 lap down. That is Jackson Byes. Bad night is going worse for the Subway Camry out of the LCQ races. He goes another lap down. 2 our race leaders and 17 laps to go. Falkingham got to feel pretty good. He's got a teammate in this lead pack back there in 5th position. A couple other drivers have to be feeling pretty good as well. Mainly these leaders. I mean, Garrett Maines, he's been in this position a lot. Same with Matthew Zwack. Same with Jeff Merck. Same with Nash Brambilla back there in 6th. These guys got to be feeling pretty good about their chances. Jackson Anderson is in this pack, back in the 9th position in that blue, white, and black Chevrolet. And We talked about the story of Jackson Anderson the other day, and what a great story that it would be for Jackson Anderson to make the PGR 500. And as of now, he is in a transfer position back in the 9th spot. How about Jack Clemens, the Dollar Tree Camry? He's 10th. Aaron Brown in 11th. Austin Green still hanging around as well. Back in 12th. The last 3 cars, Champagne, York, and Parsons. Michael Witt is 1 lap down in that 88 machine. And I'm looking back, and slowly but surely Austin, wow, I was just talking about Austin Green. Landon, this 3rd pack, led by Mike Davenport, continues to run down the Alex Hill, Trevor Oswinoff, Joey Priebe, and Chris Carter group with only 16 laps to go.
They do, and it's going to help them numbers-wise and energy-wise in their pack. But at the end of the day, it's not going to outnumber the first group, and they're running out of time. There's 15 laps to go, and they're about 12 seconds back from the lead pack. That's nowhere near enough time for them to try and catch up unless there is some extraterrestrial efforts by Trevor Oswinoff or whoever becomes the lead pusher. Those two need to try and do something. I don't know how. I really don't know if that is. It's in theory possible. It's just extremely unlikely. These guys are going to need a yellow flag to come out, and the longer this goes on, I kind of want to walk back what I said earlier. I'm not sure if we will have a caution. I mean, these are guys up front that are very experienced. They know what they're doing. They're intelligent. I really don't know. We got 14 laps to go here. Nobody's making a move yet, just still riding in line. But if there is anybody that's going to make one, maybe Eddie Kerner going to try and make a move, try and get up there with his teammate Daniel Falkingham. That's all I'm really seeing up here. Something that we can't leave out either. We saw Kenny McCulla blow an engine. We were lucky that did not cause a bigger crash. What if someone blows an engine up here? Then we'll have a yellow flag. That's another thing. If Kenny McCulla will do it, a veteran of money racing, some of these guys are prone to it happening too, and it's kind of iffy with the blown engine sometimes. Usually you can push them pretty far into the red before they blow up, or the second they turn red, they'll blow up, and there's really no telling what can happen right there. So the lead pushers like Garrett Maines right now, I doubt Garrett will end up blowing his engine, but it's in theory possible, and that would just add to the chaos that we've had this whole week.
Falkingham continues to lead as you see some wide shots of this field with 13 laps to go. Again, closing in on the final moments of dual race number 2 and the final step in the road to the PGR 500. Again, if you're just joining us, 15 cars in the lead pack back to Brandon Parsons. As of now would be in. That pack has caught Alex Hill and Trevor Oswinoff, and this race for the transfer spots is about to get fun. Davenport on the bottom, Hill on the top side. The race is on for the final 5 spots in the PGR 500. Hill pushed by Oswinoff, Davenport pushed by Slater. We'll keep an eye on this battle throughout the ending portions of this race as Davenport gets alongside. They have caught that pack. It's 9 lead lap cars for 5 total spots. And don't look now, if this last car is able to catch the pack as well, that's Chris Walker. That's a teammate to the 89 of Trevin Oswinoff. That's what the doctor ordered if you're the 89, as long as Walker can get caught on to this back end of this group.
That is true. That's a very good sight to see if you are the 89 of Trevor Oswinoff. But the pack that what consisted of Hill and Oswinoff, they were able to fend off the attack from Davenport and Slater and Minazzi Major, Joey Priebe as well. This is where the real race is right now, jockeying for that final transfer position. Right now, Jordan Slater holds it in the 92. Joey Priebe, Minazzi Major, Morgan Cook, Stephen Luttrell are the only guys left in this pack. They're currently out and stand a real shot at transferring in, unless we have a caution. But at the front of the field, they're still just single file. They're still just riding around, logging these laps. They know 10 to go is about to come up. Someone's going to make a move. I just don't know who it's going to be or when. And that's really going to be the end-all be-all for the story of this race. The ending of it is who's going to make it. Will it work? Is it going to be too aggressive? Is someone going to drive over their head in either of these packs, trying to either transfer or trying to go for the win? We'll just have to see.
Well, Walker was able to catch the tail end of this second pack, and for Trevor Oswinoff, that could be a game changer if Walker's able to get in the middle of some of these transfer cars and potentially get his way up towards his teammate. But this pack now has singled out for the potential final 5 transfer spots My question now also becomes, where does Chris Carter go in this? Carter is a lap down in all of this. Where do his allegiances lie? Where does he go in all this? He's going to become an X factor in the ending of this race, and who makes tomorrow afternoon's PGR 500. We'll keep an eye between both packs as this pack races and as that front pack races, and here we go. First move to the bottom is Morgan Cook in the 51, but I don't know how far it's going to go. Another car jumps out of line, Preeb, but the line doesn't go anywhere, and they have to jump back in. Inevitably, that move is going to happen for that transfer position, and we'll try to keep an eye on it when it does. Up front, Falkingham, Main, Zwack, Merck, Kerner, all 1 through 5 with 9 laps to go now. You know, if you're in Austin Green and Jack Clemens at Jackson Anderson, you're starting to get that itch as a driver. And Landon, maybe you felt this too, and maybe you could speak on this better than I can. When you're in a race like this where if you just ride, if you just sit where you're at, yeah, you can be in. But there's money on the line. There's $100 to the duel winner. You get to start 4th in the PGR 500 if you get to victory lane. Every position is another row. You get to be up the running order tomorrow afternoon. Does that itch as a driver, first of all, did you start getting the itch to go race for the win? And what do you think these drivers in behind, you know, maybe not a Zwack, a Kerner, a Mains, they know exactly what they're doing here. They know that they're going to ride, they're going to hold their position, and they can play defense. But if you're further back in this group, if you're an Aaron Brown, an Austin Green, an Anderson, a LaPrade, a Clemens, do you get that itch? Do you go for the win here? Or do you just sit, wait till the end, and bide your time and at least make your way into tomorrow afternoon's race?
Well, I know how it was for me. Like, my whole initiative was not to win the race. My whole goal was to just be in the top 20. And I started stressing out if I was in 7th. And I thought I was going to get eliminated from that, especially like restarting on the bottom and things like that. That just wasn't my priority. Obviously, when they started wrecking out of turn 4, I was going to try and have a look at it and thought I was going to for a second, but it just didn't turn out that way, and I'm fine with it. Still a 3rd place finish, and I advanced. That was just what my priority was. I'm sure the guys like Falkingham and Mains, Zwack, Kerner, Bolin, LaPrade, their goal is to simply advance. Sure, do they want to go ahead and get the money? Of course, who wouldn't want to try and do that if you have a realistic look at it? But a safe way of doing it. Do it safely. Don't get yourself wrecked. That's the whole thing. We've got a move out back, actually, at the front. Justin Champagne made a move. Aaron Brown faked going with him and dipped back down. That's going to send Justin Champagne to 38 all the way back. Logan York might go up there with him. He's thinking about it, and he will. Logan York is now not going to. He acted like it for a second. He's actually going to let him back in. So these two were making a move earlier when we were focused on the second pack back there. Champagne and York tried to make a little move to the front. Nothing materialized out of it. They went back into line, and now we see Logan York let Justin Champagne back in line. So the move might come from these two starting it out here. We'll just have to see. 6 laps to go as the lead pack heads out of turn 2.
Down the Daytona Superstretch, only 6 laps remain in the road to the PGR 500. There's a gap from Nash Brambilla back to Graham Bolin, and I can only imagine, is that unintentional? Is that intentional? Are they leaving a gap perhaps to start to, you know, see, okay, here's how much of a run I can get. Here's how much I can drive up to the car in front of me. My other question, and Landon, you can shed some light on this, is this pack, they're going to actually move to the outside here with 5 laps to go. Falkingham will drag them. And here we go. Up front. They're going to go 2 wide. Zwack to the bottom. The outside pole sitter makes the first big move. Here comes the cavalry. Kerner, Bolin, LaPrade, and others coming to the front in the late stages at Daytona. The leaders start to race with 5 to go. The outside pole sitter, Matthew Zwack, will look for the lead on the Daytona Superstretch.
I certainly did not expect for it to happen this early, but it sure enough did. Champagne, Green, and York all hopped to the outside, and I guess the leaders thought they were a big enough threat that we needed to hop to the top, and then the moves started being made whether they were intentional or not. This is the case we have right here. Falkingham and Zwack, the two guys that were tied for the outside pole position of the PGR 500, now leading both of the lines as we come to 4 laps to go. Graham Bolin, he's someone to watch out. Look at that 48. Oh, what a move by Graham Bolin, completely juking out Jeff Merck. That might actually not work out for him. Graham Bolin tried to juke out Jeff Merck, and he certainly did, but Jeff Merck kind of has the help up there on the top side with Austin Green coming back to him. Austin Green's still going to stick with him right there, and the bottom line's kind of dying out a little bit. Zwack was able to hop up. There goes York to the top. Kerner getting dragged back, and so is LaPrade into 3.
Kerner's going to jump on the nose of Logan York. About 5th in line is the 98 of Eddie Kerner. Zwack to the lead in front of Falkingham. Champagne got all the way from the back of the field, or the back of this first pack, to 3rd position. 3 laps to go, 7.5 miles left. Do you dare do anything dangerous? York to the bottom, LaPrade to the bottom, Aaron Brown, Jack Clemens all in line. 3 laps to go. They start to work back up towards the leaders. Here comes Logan York. Champagne on the nose. The 38 will take a look now for the race lead in 1 and 2 as they hit the super stretch. The Don Julio Toyota Camry goes to the point.
These two are at the very back of this pack, and they found their way up to the front. Now, those are the two leading the line, Champagne and Logan York. Munatzi Majors going a lap down. He was someone that was in contention for the transfer position. Zwack is going to deke out Champagne. He wants to get that push from Logan York out of turn 4. And Austin Green's just kind of hanging back. Big block out back. Eddie Kerner on Jeff Merck. Jeff Merck tried to take his right rear, and Eddie Kerner said no, sir. But at the end of the day, that's going to kind of screw them both over. Now Jack Clemens, the big gainer out of that, is now going to hop up to the outside line, about 4th on the outside. He might be someone to watch here. Matthew Zwack with the lead into 1.
Next time by the field, we'll see the white flag in VRX dual race number 2. Logan York in the move around Matthew Zwack. That's for the race lead. How about the Blade Ball Chevrolet? Logan York will take a turn out front. He looks in his mirror now. He sees Justin Champagne. They've worked so well together all night long in this dual race. Falkingham is 3rd. On the inside, it's Zwack, LaPrade, Brown, and all of a sudden, the green ghost, Austin Green, coming to the front in the 40 car. Eddie Kerner goes to the safer barrier. He takes Clemens with him. Off turn 4, the mad scramble begins. We'll watch the transfer spot as well, but it may get dicey up front. Landon as they hit the line. White flag, 1 lap to go at Daytona.
Justin Champagne almost turned himself off. Daniel Falkingham knows throwing a block right there, and Falkingham didn't like it a lot. He's actually going to try and drag back a little bit, get on the bumper. Garrett Maines, look to the middle, side draft that bottom line. Champagne and York are also going to come down. Matthew Zwack. There goes Briar LaPrade up to the top. Going to try and get that push from Logan York, who's in the wall. We'll see what Logan York's going to do with it. He's going to choose to push Briar LaPrade. Probably a good move. The bottom line doesn't have a lot of momentum right now, especially when you have Eddie Kerner pushing in middle into 3.
LaPrade leads the field. York, if he's got to go now. If he wants to go for it, he's going to have to tandem away. Logan York will bring the 88 clear. It's jockeying back behind the leaders. Can they get back clean? York to the inside. He gets alongside LaPrade. LaPrade dumps him, bumps him all the way to the line. 3 wide.
Oh.
Logan York steals into the line in a 3 wide finish. Stunning stuff from Daytona.
What a finish. That's on for the history books, Dawson. 3 wide at the line, triple zeros across 3 cars for the finish. And Logan York edges it out over Briar LaPrade and Daniel Falkingham. What a thrilling finish. But out back, it appears Alex Hill is going to transfer. So is Devin Smeeker, Mike Davenport, Joey Preeb, Jordan Slater, and Stephen Luttrell will finish in the 20th position, and Morgan Cook will be eliminated from tonight. It ended up kind of just being 20 cars left that were in contention. Wow, what a finish we just had to duel number 2.
And I kind of botched the call because for a second I had to look up at my scoring. Ladies and gentlemen, look at the left side of your screen. We have got 3 cars, triple zeros on the scoring tower. I mean, that's the best finish of the weekend, and it's not even close. Daniel Falkingham was 6 inches from stealing that away from both of those cars at the line. Incredible stuff. And what a victory for Logan York. How about the 0-2? Look at the names behind him in line here, the rest of the top 10. And Logan York says, I'll take that, thank you very much. And I'm going to go start 4th, and he's going to, oh my goodness, he's going to nose it in the fence. And similarly to Wyatt Tinsley, and I said this in dual race number 1, Landon, if you think these dual races don't mean anything to these guys to win, watch the burnout Logan York's about to do in the grass.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Logan York is someone that knows these cars. A lot of people don't really think about Logan York, when it comes to winning, even though he's won 2 PGR races, and when it comes to the next gens, he's always someone to watch out for. He kind of flies under the radar. It's odd to say that about someone like Logan York and his very expressive personality, but he went out here and won. I mean, he was at the very back of this lead pack, found his way up to the front with Justin Champagne, and ends up winning the race, beating 2 Coke drivers in Briar LaPrade and Daniel Falkingham in one of, I think, honestly, one of the best finishes we've had in PGR history. 3 wide photo finish at the line.
Let's show you how he did it, Logan York, and this is classic next-gen racing, ladies and gentlemen. When you come off turn number 4, you want to tandem your partner away from the field so that you can do exactly this. Turn left, go down to the yellow line, and just hope you can beat that guy back to the start-finish line. And watch out back as well. These two are racing, Now, for all intents and purposes, you think this one's between the 88 and the 02, and at the end of the day, look at Daniel Falkingham here. When these guys start to work their way up the banking, Falkingham comes very, very close to stealing this. We're going to actually have to slow this even further down because this is as close as it gets. We're going to go slow as we can and show you exactly how close this is at the line. Look at him, similar to 2011, Jimmy Johnson, Clint Boyer at the line. Oh my goodness. I mean, that's as close as it gets. Let's go to another camera angle as these three cross the line, but that's your margin of victory. And we can't even find a camera where it's definitive here. That's how close it is. We still can't find one. This is incredible. One of the greatest finishes in PGR history in dual race number 2.
Yeah, Daniel Falkingham almost had a gift handed to him on a silver platter when Logan York and Briar LaPrade started dooring each other, fighting over it, fighting for the win, getting a little bit caught up in each other's business. And Daniel Falkingham was about, I don't know, what, 3 milliseconds away from beating both of them. And at the end of the day, I mean, so I know the pictures, they're already coming through in the PGR Esports Discord. The pictures from this finish, this is truly something that we just witnessed here. It's like perfect. It's a perfect finish that we just had to duel number 2. What better way to round off the events leading up to the feature race of the PGR 500 than a finish like that? Just an absolute thriller that we had. And sure, there could be people out there that, okay, maybe this race was a little bit boring, you know, they were single file for most of it and everything. Well, this just made up for all that. That is one of the best finishes that I've probably ever seen, including iRacing and NASCAR. I mean, that was just absolutely thrilling. Congrats to Logan York for somehow pulling out this one.
That might be one of the best angles we have right there. Those 3 cars, 3 abreast, across the start-finish line. And if this is Talladega, Daniel Falkingham absolutely wins this race. It's not even close. As those two worked up the banking, Falkingham needed another probably 15 feet, and he wins. But it makes for one of the most photogenic finishes and the perfect. We could not have ended this week any better than with a finish like that. As we go into the finishing results, we're going to just keep this up on the screen. I think it deserves to be on the screen, as these guys have just put on the best race of the entire weekend. Logan York wins, ladies and gentlemen, by the 10,000ths of a second. We can't even see it on the screen. Triple zeros, quadruple zeros at Daytona in the final race of the weekend by mere inches. Logan York wins dual race number 2. He'll start 4th in tomorrow afternoon's PGR 500. Daniel Falkingham, I mean, we're going to talk to him here in a second. That's as close as you can possibly get without winning the race. And Briar LaPrade, he finishes 3rd by 3 1,000ths of a second. Shades of the Atlanta Cup race finish a season ago in the spring. We get another one here tonight. Garrett Maines, he got a front row seat for all of it back and forth. So did Justin Champagne in 5th. Matthew Zwack finishes 6th. Aaron Brown in 7th. Jack Clements in 8th. Jeff Merck in 9th. And Eddie Kerner in 10th. All 10 are in the PGR 500.
And 11th through 20th will also be in the PGR 500 tomorrow. Graham Bolin in 11th place. The Coke Series driver has advanced. So is Jackson Anderson, Austin Green, Nash Brambilla, Alex Hill, Devin Smreeker, Mike Davenport, Joey Preeb in 18th. 19th place will be Jordan Slater, and then Stephen Luttrell rounds out the top 20. And these are all the guys that have advanced to tomorrow's PGR 500.
21st, the first car out is going to be Morgan Cook. Chris Blanchard in 22nd. Devin Maines in 23rd. Zach Clater in 24th. And Michael Witt in 25th. Trevor Osranoff as well is eliminated in 26th. Manatzi Major in 27th. Chris Carter in 28th. Jeremy Osborne in 29th. And the toughest break of the night probably is John Ward in 30th. He is eliminated as well from the PGR 500.
Corey Taylor will finish 31st tonight. Chris Walker 32nd. Brandon Parsons 33rd. Jackson Bice 34th. Jake Greenfield 35th. Kenneth McCullough Jr., a tough break for him, in 36th position tonight. 37th will be Kyle Holden. Travis Roberto in 38th. And then Wyatt Gray, a shocking finish for him, in last place on the evening, 39th position. Someone that we definitely could have seen as a threat to win tonight's race, taken out early. Tough break for him here tonight.
Well, those are your official finishing results from this duel number 2. The most electric race of the entire weekend is the final one before we take the grid for tomorrow afternoon's 500-miler And if that is not enough to get you excited for what we're going to see at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, I don't know what will. I mean, the dual race, that yeah, in the middle portions, sure, saving fuel, sure, logging laps, but they waited until the perfect moment, and when it started to go, it went quickly. I mean, I can't even form the words. I'm legitimately still speechless. And like I said, you kind of botched the call. There's so much happening at one time that you kind of botched the call. You just have to sit and watch as this happens. What a finish and what a statement going into Sunday afternoon for Logan York. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to get to talk to all three members of a historic finish here on PGR 500 weekend. We're going to talk to all three of them here in post-race interviews in just a moment. Stay with us on PGR Esports. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Daytona International Speedway as we get you prepared for some post-race interviews. And these are some of the most anticipated post-race interviews I think I've ever done because of what we just witnessed on the high banks of Daytona. We're going to start first the man who finished the man who finished second, rather. We do not currently have Briar LaPrade in the Discord lobby, but we'll await his arrival potentially to talk to us about a third-place finish. But we'll talk to the man who in another 15 feet would have stolen this race away from Briar LaPrade and Logan York, and that is Daniel Falkingham, the 39 for 6 Karma Esports. We'll see what Dan has to say about a wild finish to duel number 2. Hey, Daniel Falkingham, it's Dawson and Landon up in the booth. You get a copy?
Yes, sir, I got you.
Well, goodness, I don't even know where to start. We're still pretty speechless up here, and take us through the scramble. We see LaPrade and York, and I mean, completely honestly, you don't see the third guy ever become a part in these kinds of finishes. Another 15 feet, and we're talking to you as the winner of Duel 2. I get it, it probably feels a little bit sore that you came home in the 10,000th short of Logan York, but still a great run and an incredible finish for the ages.
Yeah, man, like you said, the whole goal of this was just to make it into the feature tomorrow, which we did, so I'm happy. Can't wait for tomorrow, but just when you're up front the whole race, you just want to be able to, like, just finish off with the win. And like I said, we were so close. I knew I was in a predicament just leading at the end, and I knew people were going to try to gang up and get around me, which they did. I was trying my best to, like, get myself in a good position, but, like, I was just getting hot trying to push whoever was in front of me, like Champagne, whoever. We actually almost had a wreck with Champagne when he cut my nose off going into, I can't remember when it was. I think it was on 2 to go, but that almost killed my race, and I think we were able to keep it straight right there, But yeah, I thought I had enough to get to the line right there. I could have sworn I had him beat. I was looking right at my relative when I crossed the line. I could have sworn my name was ahead of him. But like I said, I see like another another foot essentially, maybe another inch. But yeah, nonetheless, had a lot of fun in this race, and hopefully we can do that same. We can have a similar result tomorrow. Hopefully we can get the win. I've been coming up short in everything. I came up short in the heat, finished second in the heat, lost out on the Q-off, came second tonight. So I'm saving hopefully my moral victory for tomorrow night. So we'll see what happens, but I'm excited for tomorrow.
We'll have to wait and see, obviously. Well, look, now, going into tomorrow, now you've gone through this, kind of a rep of what the last 10 laps or so tomorrow will look like. And, I asked about the preparation in duel number 1, but I'm going to switch my perspective here. Tonight's last 10 laps, really tonight's race as a whole. Can we take something from tonight? Can we expect a similar strategy from you all tomorrow for the field going into the race? Is there kind of an assumption, okay, we're going to ride around, we're going to try to log some laps, we're going to try to get to the end of this thing so that we're all around and we all have a chance? Can we expect that? And certainly second, can we expect some jockeying? Should we expect even more jockeying and craziness at the end of tomorrow's race?
You'll definitely see, you'll probably see a lot of that early in the race tomorrow, but as we get into the second half and as we get into, the final pit stops, the intensity is going to pick up way more than you saw at the end, because all of us in that race, we were all, the way we were running, there was, only 15 of us in the lead pack, so we were all locked in. So we just all made sure we didn't wreck because we all knew we were locked in. But tomorrow night, that's when all the big money's going to get paid out. So I think you'll see something similar early in the race, but near towards the middle to the end of the race, the intensity is going to pick up way more than we saw in the last 5 laps tonight. So we're going to expect a lot more wrecks, a lot more action at the end, but I think it's really just going to depend on how the drivers' attitudes coming in tomorrow. So it really is like a grab bag tomorrow, but hopefully it's enough where we're there in the conversation when it's all said and done. Hopefully, so that's all I want to be, just be in contention at the end of this race tomorrow.
Well, certainly looking forward to it tonight. A nice appetizer for what we'll see tomorrow afternoon. Before we let you go, Dan, obviously a second place finish for you here, and you're going to start on the outside of row number 3 tomorrow afternoon. So before you go and start to get prepared for that, are there any thank you shout outs you'd like to give?
Yeah, I just want to shout out Baker, Chaskarov for putting this whole event on. It's been a great week, and they should be very proud of what they've been able to put on. I hope we have a really, really good show tomorrow, and appreciate for all they do. And shout out to everyone who came out and raced this entire week to make the show possible. Shout out to G-Mains, Eddie, Graham, and Zwack. We were all working together there to make sure we all got ourselves in, and we pulled off a heck of a strategy in that race to pit and get ourselves a gap to most of the field. So shout out to them for working with them. We'll probably all hook up sometime tomorrow. We'll see. But shout out to them. Shout out to you guys for broadcasting. I know it's going to be a good show tomorrow with all y'all broadcasting. And shout out to all the fans for watching, everyone out there watching. And shout out to Six Karma.
Well, Dan, congratulations on the finish here tonight. Second place, you'll roll off from the outside of row number 3 tomorrow afternoon in the PGR 500. Good luck. Go enjoy some time to breathe, some time to prepare, and start to get geared up for tomorrow afternoon's feature event.
Heck yeah, Dawson. We will see you then.
Daniel Falkenham, technically the second place finisher in tonight's race. We're going to go out of order because we do now have Briar LaPrade, the third place finisher, by 3/1000ths of a second in this one. And we'll see what he's got to say about his efforts in this one, and looking forward to tomorrow afternoon's PGR 500. Briar LaPrade, it's Dawson and Landon up in the broadcast booth. Do you have a copy? We'll give it a second, give it one more try. Briar LaPrade, it's the boys up in the broadcast booth. Do you have a copy? So it does not appear we have a copy currently from Briar LaPrade, so we will shoot him back down here. We'll give him a second to come back to his setup, and we will move on to the winner here briefly as we await Briar LaPrade's arrival here into the broadcast booth. And we'll move to the man who won and the man who made a massive statement going into tomorrow afternoon's PGR 500. He'll roll from position number 4, and it is Logan York in the 0-2. Logan, it's the boys in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, what's up?
Well, look, the biggest statement you could have made was going out and winning the duel, put yourself in position to do it, and now on the winning end of one of the best finishes in PGR eSports history, take us through the mad scramble at the end that now has you starting 4th in tomorrow afternoon's PGR 500.
Yeah, I was honestly, before that, I wasn't even sure if I wanted to try to win, because I knew we had a big lead on the second pack, and they had a lead to another pack. So I was kind of contemplating if I want to sit in the back. But I figured, hey, if I wreck, maybe I can hold it against the wall, and maybe they won't catch me by the time we get to the start finish line. So yeah, I made my way up there, and then just went through side drafting the bottom, got myself up into leading the top with Justin. Thanks for his help there. And once Breyer went up, I knew I had to try to push him as far out as I could, and went low. Try to just rub him up a little bit, slow him down, and then Daniel, I almost screwed it up for both of us and gave Daniel the win, but fortunately made it just in the nick of time for Daniel not to pass me, because I did screw Breyer there. But yeah, fortunately he didn't pass me, and it just worked out.
Well, it certainly works out well. Now you'll start 4th in tomorrow afternoon's feature. So, what's the game plan tomorrow? What's the preparation going to look like for you going into this 500-mile feature event? Kind of take us through, the physical, the mental preparation as you go into tomorrow's race.
Just try to race it like a normal super speedway race. I mean, nothing really changes for me that much. I race pretty much every race the same. Except for there. We were all locked in, but you're not locked into anything in the big race. So I'm going to treat it like a normal PGR event. Probably hang back until right before the first pit stop, and then after that we'll see where the wind takes us.
Well, it's a victory for you tonight in duel race number 2. You will go from 4th position on the outside of row number 2 in tomorrow afternoon's PGR 500. So before we let you go and begin the preparation process for that and take a breather as well after a chaotic finish, is there anyone you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I want to thank you guys for broadcasting. It's been a really good broadcast. I want to thank Michael Triscaro, Baker, everyone that makes PGR possible. I want to thank all the people that watch the broadcast and give drivers motivation to keep returning. I want to thank all the drivers for always providing some nice competition. I won't say nice competition because not everyone's nice, but you know what I mean. I want to thank my team, probably band group. Unfortunately, my team, Jackson Bice, Tucker McLennan, both missed the race, but they worked their butts off to try to make it. And that's it.
We appreciate you talking to us here for just a moment in the broadcast booth. Go enjoy this win, but go begin to prepare. You're going to start 4th in tomorrow's PGR 500. Congratulations on the win. Go enjoy it. Go celebrate. We will see you tomorrow afternoon.
See ya.
Logan York in the 0-2. We're going to try this one more time with our 3rd place finisher, Breyer LaPrade, and get him up here and hear his thoughts about one of the best finishes that we have ever witnessed up here in the broadcast booth, and we'll see if the driver, the number 88's got some thoughts on it as well. Hey, Breyer LaPrade, it's the boys up in the broadcast booth. Do you have a copy?
Hey, do you got me this time?
Yeah, we got you this time. Apologies for that technical issue. I'm not sure what was going on there, but nonetheless, look, a picturesque finish, a photogenic finish, and I said the same thing to Daniel a moment ago. It's got to be a little bit sore to come out on the wrong end of it, but you put together a really nice week of preparation for the 500. You've got to be feeling pretty good. Take us through the scramble on the last lap from your perspective.
Yeah, to start the week, we won our heat and set ourselves up for a good starting spot in the duel. But yeah, it was just me and Graham were right in the back there, and we tried going for a run, and I ended up sticking to the bottom and found my way up front there, and tried checking up Logan there towards the end just to try and keep it between me and him and keep him somewhat behind me, because when you're leading, it's tough to win that. But yeah, he glued to my car, and I couldn't really do anything, and then Falkingham swooped low to almost take it, but yeah, to lose by 3 1/1000ths is whatever. I finished 3rd. But yeah, I was just trying to go for the $100, and knowing I was locked into the main felt good, so I was just trying to go win $100 there at the end. But yeah, our Ledford Billiard Supply Chevrolet was pretty good. Wanted to try and sweep the win, a dual win, and maybe a feature win. I don't know, but we're gonna try and do that tomorrow.
Well, yeah, I want to ask about that as well. Again, you put together a really nice week. You won the heat race, you go 3rd in this evening's dual race, and now you set yourself up really nicely for the feature race. You're going to start 8th in tomorrow's PGR 500, and kind of take me through what the game plan is, what the preparation is like for a 200-lap, 500-mile race. Kind of take our viewers through what that looks like for a driver, and then kind of what the game plan is for you in terms of strategy in tomorrow afternoon's race.
Yeah, it's been treating me well to run up front so far, so I guess I'm just honestly going to try and just go lead every lap and go dominate and try and win that thing. it's like I said, being up front's been treating me nice, so might as well keep going with that strategy. And whatever happens, happens. It's Daytona. If you get in a wreck, it's whatever. It sucks, but it happens. But we're gonna go for a win tomorrow. That's for sure. We're gonna lead every lap and dominate and try and win it.
Well, we're looking forward to it up here. Before we let you go, a third-place finish tonight. Again, an 8th-place starting position for you in tomorrow afternoon's feature event. So before we let you go, take a breather after a chaotic finish and also begin to prepare for tomorrow afternoon's race. Is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, Ledford Billiard Supply for supporting me all these years. We're going to bring them back into Coke this year. Make sure to check them out at ledfordbilliardsupply.com for all your pool table and sim racing needs. And, yeah, just all you guys for broadcasting and putting this event on.
We appreciate you for talking to us here for a second. Congratulations on the 3rd-place finish. Go enjoy it and go get prepared. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon in the PGR 500.
Yep, see you guys.
Brian LaPrade in the 88 goes 3rd in tonight's race. And I'll tell you what, Landon, I mean, what a way to wrap up the week. We started on Tuesday with 240. We have now dropped our field down to, I believe, unofficially 41 or 42 race cars. And we have the official field for the PGR 500. The Great American Sim Race will go off tomorrow afternoon. And the last little bit of the week, the last moments of the final race to lead into that race have got to give us a great expectation for tomorrow afternoon's event.
I don't know if we're going to see something like that again, because that type of finish that we just saw there is not something you see really often, even though you think you would, considering super speedway racing and how the next gens are and everything. It was a barn burner of a finish, and we can only hope to have either something like that or something even better for tomorrow night's race. And I don't have any expectations for tomorrow. I agree with Daniel when we were interviewing him. I feel like we could have a few early cautions, but then once we start getting into it, people are going to calm down and they're going to at least kind of see reason, like, why are we wrecking? We've still got 100-something laps left. I think we're going to see that, and I think we're going to see, obviously, some crazy and intense racing towards the end of it, no matter who's there. And considering the field of guys that has advanced to it, I don't think we're going to be short of having any wild racing towards the finish of tomorrow night's race, and I'm definitely looking forward to being a part of it.
Well, I am as well, and, you know, as we kind of transition now, the preliminary races are over, the field is set, and now becomes, you know, the day of the race, the pageantry, the traditions that are going to be built tomorrow afternoon, the big race feel. You're going to be able to feel the buzz as we get into things tomorrow afternoon, and what fun it's going to be. What a privilege it's going to be for all of us to call, for all these guys to race. I mean, these guys, some of them worked really, really hard to make it into this race, and a few came out of an LCQ race and now will race tomorrow afternoon. And you talk about guys like Joey Preeb and Jordan Slater and Stephen Luttrell and Mike Davenport and Devin Sprecher that, you know, come out of the races this morning not knowing if they'd even have a chance, a look, an opportunity to make it in, and they've made the field, and they'll start tomorrow afternoon's PGR 500. It'll be such a nice mix of the biggest names and the upset, the dark horse picks, and, you know, the regulars over here on the PGR eSports side of things. What a nice mix-up in the field we're going to have tomorrow afternoon. It's going to be a can't-miss event. It's going to all but do it for us here this evening, and we feel it fitting to leave this finish up on the screen as we get ready to wrap up tonight's coverage of the PGR 500 VRX Simulators Duels. Here's the rundown for tomorrow afternoon. The preliminary week is finished. Tomorrow is the big day. Tomorrow, the first ever running of the Great American Sim Race. It will go off around 2:30 p.m. will be the broadcast time for tomorrow afternoon. And again, the broadcast team for tomorrow afternoon with Austin Green making the feature tonight. He was going to call the race with us tomorrow afternoon. He will be stepping into the race car. So the full broadcast team tomorrow afternoon, of course, will be lead broadcaster Evan Pasocco of the Coca-Cola iRacing Series, myself, along with Matthew Baker, time in and time out throughout tomorrow afternoon's events, as well as producer Christian Hill, formerly of the Podium 500. We look forward to an incredible star-studded broadcast crew tomorrow. We look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow, and these drivers are ready to put on a show from the World Center of Racing. Again, 2:30 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be the go-live time for the broadcast around that time for tomorrow afternoon's events. We will see you for an extended pre-race show sometime tomorrow around 2:40 to 2:45, and we will get you set for gridding of the PGR 500. The green flag will come out just after 3 p.m. Eastern. You will not want to miss a thing. It'll be right back here on PGR Esports Network. So glad that you've joined us for this week. Don't leave now. Tomorrow afternoon is the biggest event in PGR history and the biggest event in sim racing. this year, the Great American Sim Race. Until then, my name is Dawson Weiss. For my co-hosts tonight, Austin Green and Landon Veliky, and all my co-hosts throughout the week, Landon, Austin, Matthew Baker, Matt Metler, and Michael Triscaro, we thank you so much for your attendance here to this event, your viewership of this event, your continued support of PGR Esports. Come out tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the PGR 500 tomorrow afternoon. We'll see you then. Until then, have a great night.